It's Sunday night, and that can only mean one thing. It's time for another round of the iRacing UK GT3 League. And this evening, you join us from the fourth round here of the fourth season, where our drivers are going to be doing battle here at the Nürburgring. We at Total Sim Sport are proud to present to you this evening's racing, which is brought to you via iRacing, the world's premier motorsport simulator. We're bringing you this Sunday night commentary team with a twist with myself, Nick Allen, and alongside me, a man who has commentated with me on a few other races in the Formula 3. It's Josh Wilson. So brilliant to have Josh along with us as well. Welcome, Josh. Hope you're looking forward to the action this evening. Now, you must be wondering what on earth you've done to deserve the two F3 guys here on a Sunday night. Well, James is out doing a bit of pumpkin carving and trick-or-treating this evening, so we've decided to give him a night off on spooky season. You join us here in the warm-up as we get ready for the racers to grid up now. They're just going to take a 1 minute 24 remaining little run around the lap, where they're going to be getting themselves familiar with the track, all the apexes they need to be hitting, but most importantly, we need to run you through the order. So if we're going to bring the qualifying up for you in a moment, and we'll be able to just let you know who's going to be at the top of the grid and who's going to be running at the back. So here we go. At the front, Xander Hill, followed by Richard Jepp, and then we've got Dave Hodgkins in third. He's followed by Chris Foskett, and then we've got Mark Johnson, Joel Amos, and then Murray Luca, Gary Bacon, Mark Jennings, and Lee Green. They bring up the top 10 for you, and then we've got James Foster, Steve Masters, Patrick Falconer, Matt Edmondson, Koshi Kelly, Nathan Ansis, Adam Holloway, and then Damian G in 18th there. So brilliant lineup that we've got this evening on the grid. A real mix of Ferrari, Lambo, Porsche, and Beamer. No Mercs in this race, but if you stick around for the elites, you'll get to see a few of the German branded AMG going around the circuit here at the Nürburgring this evening. Now, Josh, welcome along. Hope you are looking forward to the action. What's brought you here this evening on a Sunday? A love for the GT3 cars, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me. I've been enjoying the racing in the AMs, and I just love to get a look at the pros and the elites and how they drive. Maybe I can pick up a few things.
Well, we obviously know you very well from Formula 3, where you've had a pretty decent season so far. A few races, obviously, you dropped to commentate with me, but great to have been obviously seeing you out on track on the Sundays and the Tuesdays. So the race is going to get started now. If you like the look of the action on your screens, head over to www.facebook.com/iRacing UK. You can also get them at IRUK_team on Twitter. You can head over there for an invite to the Discord, and who knows, maybe we'll see you in Season 5. We'll talk a little bit more about Season 5 later on. Now, first off, we just need to acknowledge some of the names that we've got here on the grid. So in the pro season, we've actually had 3 separate winners in the last races at Road Atlanta, Hungaroring, and Road America. But the man at the front of the grid today, Xander Hill, is actually the winner from our last race. So I'm absolutely certain that we're going to see one hell of a fight at the front from a lot of these guys. So Richard Jepp, also a race winner at Hungaroring. So in Hungary, he was on the top spot, and again, we've got him here in second place this evening on the front row. So they're going to be doing a short half a lap around with the safety car in front of them before they get underway with the green lights. You can see the clock now ticking down. We've got 45 minutes on this race as we now wait for the lights to go out. So the safety car will get underway, and Xander will hopefully lead us away safely on this opening lap around the Nürburgring. Josh, anywhere in particular you're expecting to see all the action tonight?
Oh, Turn 1. Turn 1's a big classic one for this track. There's so many ways you can take it. You got that super tight inside line and try and just send it. So we've got to see action there tonight. I'm sure of it.
Well, as we get ready to get underway here, the safety car rolls around the corner, and we've got Xander Hill getting ready to lead Richard Jepp off into the start of this race. This is surely going to be an action-packed evening that we've got here at the Nürburgring. Dubbed the Green Hell by Jackie Stewart so memorably. Thrilling and terrifying drivers in equal measure since 1927. Let's see them get underway now. The safety cars come in as we come around the last corner. Xander Hill's going to lead us off, and we are really looking forward to the action tonight as the lights are about to go green. They've already sprinted, and we've got cars 2 abreast on the pit straight here as we start the race here. Green lights, go, go, go for GT3 round 4 in season 4 at the Nürburgring. It looks like Richard Jepp's fancying a look round the outside, but defended very well by Xander on that opening lap. Dave Hotchkiss is pushing himself up into 3rd position, or sorry, defending that 3rd position, and we've got action further down in the grid with James Foster looking like he's dropping a place there. He's got someone going around the outside of him there. I think that's Kyoshi Kelly, and we've got a car turn round. That's car 611 turn round. That's Chris Foskett. Just dropped down from 4th position after a bit of a spin there. Was there contact? We'll have to go to a little replay of that in a few moments. That means that Joel Amos has now made his way up into 4th, and we've got 2 more cars off here in the form of Mark Jennings and Lee Green. Ferrari in the wall, car number 118 there. That's a shame. So lots of punting happening here on lap 1 at the Nürburgring, and we've got more action for you in the form of Murray Luca. Brilliant side-by-side action here between Luca and Mark Johnson. It looks like Johnson is going to get the job done there. Johnson up the inside, and Murray Luca now having to just drop back a little bit from there. No, he's going to go side-by-side. No, not quite there. He's had to tuck in and concede that one. Well, it is early on in the race with 43 minutes to go. I don't think they want to be pushing as hard as some of the other guys have been, as we've seen further down the order. Now, as we go into the kind of middle closing section of the first lap, we've got Xander Hill still at the top and Richard Jepp very close behind him. We're going to have to stay with that. Oh, actually, no, we will go back to the front runners because they are incredibly close at the minute as we run around the circuit here. We're coming right up to the last sector, and I think we'll have to have a look at the cars behind because there's even more battles going on. There's only a few tenths separating some of these guys as we come into the final corners. The chicane here, catching a couple of the drivers out by looks very deep into the chicane by 2 of the Ferraris. We've got an absolute line of cars here, Ferrari, Lamborghini and BMW, all in the thick of the action, but the lead pack at the moment dominated by those BMWs, followed by one Ferrari of Dave Hotchkiss. So Xander Hill still trying to defend here hard from Richard Jepp, but it looks like Richard really tucking in very tight to the rear wing there of Xander's car. Let's go back in the order a little bit here. We're still at turn 1, and we've got absolute pandemonium with drivers trying to get round each other. Here's Gary Bacon at the moment. He's in a bit of a fight with Murray Luca, and he's got Masters behind him as well. So really tight between all these guys. Car number 87 there ahead of Murray Luca. These guys have been absolutely nose to tail through the entire first part of the race, and it's really great to see just how evenly matched some of these guys are out on track. Here's James Foster now in the Lamborghini. Lovely little paint scheme there on car number 48. He's tucked in behind Steve Masters at the minute at Ferrari of Steve, just staying out of reach though from Mr. Foster. Josh, the first lap's over. We've seen absolute chaos at points there. What do you make of all of that?
Yeah, that was a feisty start. I was half expecting it, and it kind of delivered. Real shame for Chris Foskett there in P4 dropping down so many. I was really looking forward to seeing him race today. I know he's been going from strength to strength in this series, so it's a big shame for him.
We're going to have a little look at what... Oh, we've got a car spinning off in the back. That was car number 30, I believe. I've just seen go down the order. That's Matt Edmondson in the Lamborghini. So let's just have a little look at this battle at the front now with Mark Johnson diving down the inside. Very well done, sir. Brilliant manoeuvre, but it's not over yet. Car number 87 still on the inside, under braking, side by side, using all the curb there in the Ferrari, both of them. That slowed down Mr. Johnson a little bit there, I think, though, because now he's going to be under threat from Gary Bacon behind. Really close in, but later on the brakes has allowed him to just escape the clutches of Mr. Bacon there. It's really by the skin of his teeth, I think he's held on to that. That was really tight action, and this queue of cars that we've got on the run down into turn 1, surely we're going to see some more manoeuvres here. Here's Steve Masters up 4 positions at the moment on the inside. Is he brave enough to do it to that Lamborghini? He is. What a dive from car number 10, gets the move done, and he's kept it ahead of the Lambo. Brilliant stuff from Steve Masters, up another place. That's 5 places, putting him in P7 at the moment. I don't think that fight's going to be over though, because look at Foster later on the brakes than Masters there, and he's almost touching the back bumper of Mr. Masters' car. This is a fight to continue watching, I think. Only a few tenths of a second separate these guys, and behind them we've also got action as well in the form of Adam Holloway. Now Holloway chasing behind Kelly, and then Anstis behind having a little look, just keeping his nose in. Potentially going to be an opportunity for Anstis to get around if these guys have a bit of a coming together. It's Lambo versus Ferrari as we watch them go into the 40-minute marker remaining of this race. Lee Green has had another incident a bit further down the order, so I think what we might have to do is have a little look at a replay of Lee Green. We have obviously got another replay from the incident at the first lap of the race as well. What happened to Lee Green? A bit of curb picked up and then just spins the back end round. I mean, these GT3 cars tend to be a bit more resilient to the curbs as some of the high downforce open wheelers, so it's a surprise to see him maybe losing it at that point, although I'm sure they've all got their strengths and weaknesses across the GT3 field here as we watch now Mark Johnson in 5th chasing along oh no, actually it's Mr. Bacon we're with at the moment, so Gary Bacon in 6th position, up 2 places, and Johnson's all over the place there, crawling all over the curbs, and that's going to give Bacon the chance to dive down the inside of the final turn and into the pit straight they go. That's another move for Mark Johnson that's just cost him time. We've seen him have a little bit of a struggle at a few points. Maybe the pressure's just getting to Johnson, and now down another place into 6th. Well, actually he's only down 1 place, but he had gained one up into 4th earlier on, so maybe this is just the early lap luck now starting to perhaps fade away from Mark Johnson. Now Masters is looking really quick behind him. We've watched Masters take a couple of places already. Well, I say a couple, he's up 5. Oh, he's had a bump from behind. We did see before that Kyoshi Kelly was very deep on the brakes, but oh no, he's taken someone else out there. So Steve Masters gets away quite lightly there by the looks of it. Let's watch a replay of that. A little bit of a dink from Kyoshi Kelly, and then as he comes to recover the car, he's just caught the back of oh no, that is Kyoshi. So that was, who took him out? I missed who it was that took him out. James Foster. It was Foster in the Lambo that was the contact there. Sorry, we just got a bit confused there with who had taken out who. But Masters has survived on this occasion. Let's go back over to Mr. Masters now. He's very, very quick at the moment. Best lap in the session so far is a 1:57.3. So that's putting him pretty high up the order in terms of who's the quickest. I think actually that does make him the quickest, doesn't it, at the minute? Oh no, we've got some 1:55s at the front from the really quick guys. Otherwise, that means that Masters would be quite out of place if he was lapping 2 seconds quicker than he was at the minute. Speaking of 2 seconds quicker at the front, Xander Hill now actually a gap of 1.6, really going for it at the moment. The front 3 starting to spread out. These BMWs giving themselves a bit of room, not pushing too hard. I'm sure there's obviously an element of fuel saving with the pit stop that we're going to have in this race. They will be required to take some fuel, and that means that a bit of pit stop strategy will come into play. Now, Chris Foskett, we're back with Chris after his early lap spin, down from 4th position, currently in 12th, so that's 8 that he's dropped, and now chasing along behind the Ferrari of Damian G. So Damian, another frequent flyer here at iRacing UK. We've seen him in plenty of the leagues before now, and a really consistent, great driver, Damian, and he's got that Ferrari lined up nicely at the moment, but I'm sure it won't be long before Foskett's having a little look down the inside, and he's really a bit later on the brakes there, isn't he, I think, than Damian, so I'm sure that he'll be able to close that gap up considerably. Now, we've got a Ford in the pits, the Ford in the form of Joel Amos. So let's see. Oh, big damage at the front of that car. That's incredible to see. I wonder what happened to Joel. We didn't see an incident on the early laps for Joel, I don't believe. So as he crawls into the pit stall now for that fast repair that these drivers are allowed, we'll have to keep an eye on what happens to him. Maybe check out a little replay of that shortly. But Gary Bacon, a person who we've definitely covered a little bit this evening, up 3 places. Great racing so far from Gary. He's under pressure from Mark Johnson there. He's let him through, I think. What happened there?
That was odd.
He just spat it. He just lost it. I was just watching the timing tower, and he'd just slowed right down. There's a dent. There's a dent there in the front wing of the car, so I'm wondering if there's a bit of contact that's been had as part of that incident, maybe. But Gary Bacon now starting to struggle a little bit. He's losing more places. Is that Masters going to get down the inside? Masters is having a little look, isn't he? Definitely. And Bacon all over the place. So I wonder what's caused that damage on the front of the car, because I didn't see him have contact with anybody, but he's absolutely hemorrhaging places now. Look at this car number 26 going to go up the inside of him here, or very close in behind Masters, and this is a real bum fight here. He's stricken again, hit another vehicle, and that's going to be more damage to the vehicle of Gary Bacon. Oh, he's going to have to go. He's going to get the meatball flag soon at this rate if he keeps having bumps like that. And that must be 5 or 6 places that he's just lost in that one lap alone. And look at the pack of cars that we've got here coming down the pit straight. This is fantastic to see as we watch Nathan Anstis here. So up 8 places Nathan is at the moment, and Adam Holloway, who's with him, up 8. Some brilliant moves here as we see him going. Oh, we've got contact, and that's caused another incident. That's 2 cars dropped back there. That's Damian G dropping down the order, and I think Chris Foskett possibly was involved in that. But oh, that was a shame to see. They were all so tight in together. Let's go to that replay. Here's Foskett as they go into turn 1. What happens to Foskett? He's very late on the brakes, very big dive, and just taps the back of the car there of Damian G, and that's unfortunate. Everyone has to go around them. Chris already having dropped a few places, he won't be happy with that. We were hoping for a much cleaner manoeuvre on Damian as we saw them going along together earlier in this race. Now let's go back to Adam Holloway. Adam up 8 places, currently having a little race here with, I believe that is Nathan Anstis ahead of him, isn't it? So the Ferrari and the Lambo here going head to head, cars number 32 and 26. The gap closing up a little bit between them, only 0.6, but important to mention that Nathan's also chasing Foster ahead, but the gap there growing a little bit more so. It's currently at 9/10 of a second, that Ferrari to a Lambo gap. It's a Ferrari sandwich with Lambo bread here in P7, 8 and 9. Now, you might have remembered that last year there was a rather unusual 2020 season for the Formula One, and the result of that was that we actually had a Grand Prix here. So that was a quite interesting event that we got to witness. Nowhere near as fun as this iRacing UK stuff, though, eh? But the race itself actually saw Lewis Hamilton taking the victory from second on the grid, but it was quite interesting because spectators weren't really given much of a chance to see anything on day one, as there was incredibly heavy fog here at the Eiffel Grand Prix, which prevented medical helicopters from being able to take off and ruined all of our fun on a Friday. Adam Holloway still chasing along behind Nathan Anstis in the Lamborghini here. They're going down the pit straight, and I don't think they're going to be lined up for a move just yet. Josh, of what you've seen in the last couple of laps, what's your favourite move that you've bared witness to here?
Well, the racing between the Ferraris up there with the Masters and Johnson's been great. They've been giving each other the space and respect through the chicanes, and that's great to see. We saw a little bit less respect later on when the other Ferrari had a bit of damage and tried to go too wide in there, and then just cut straight across in the second part of the chicane, and there was a bit of bumping going on. But the turn 1 action is I'm all for it here. It's been great to see, and I hope to see more of it. The only bad thing I'm seeing here is that the Porsches don't seem to be so strong this week, so not looking good for me next week.
It looks like we have a slow down penalty there for Foskett, we just had a little replay of. So let's go back to Mr. Masters, who you were just mentioning a moment ago, and chased along behind him James Foster. So Foster already caused a little bit of commotion earlier on in the race, but look at him coming up behind Masters now. We're incredibly quick. Masters having to just keep an eye on his left-hand mirror there, as James is really charging and closing that gap up now. I'm sure we're going to see an attempted pass, but hopefully no bumper-to-bumper action as we saw in the previous laps. Half an hour of action to go, and we don't want to see anybody dropping out just yet. There's plenty of time for being patient here, because I'm sure James will have plenty of opportunities to make his way around. Into the chicane they go. Looks like James has got the not quite as good exit possibly there. It looked like he'd lined it up better than Mr. Masters, but actually the gap not really coming down at all. But on the last corner, it's a different story. Look how much closer he is as we now go into the pit straight. This has got to be the time for a move now between Mr. Foster and Masters here. I'm absolutely sure we're going to see something into turn 1. Here he goes, looking up the inside. Masters not giving him much room, but but look at that, slips it down the inside. But is there a cutback manoeuvre here? I think there could be for Masters. He's going to go around the outside here, though. I don't know if he's going to be able to get it done. No, Foster maintains the position. Masters just having to give it up this time. I thought there might be a cutback possible there for Masters, but it looked like James Foster just managing to get the rubber down and get away and a bit of extra traction. But it's not really over, because Masters has managed to hold it together through the early sector of the lap, and they're probably going to be running into a little bit of traffic in the form of car number 5 ahead, maybe. If oh, look down the inside, that was a bit brave from Masters. Up 5 positions, don't throw it away yet, Steve. We want to see you get to the end of this. This has been fantastic racing so far here at Nürburgring. As we come down now into the hairpin, long open hairpin here, let's see how much closer Masters can get. He's really tight in behind him. I wonder if Foster's was being helped out a little bit by the slipstream, possibly, Josh, and the result of that now is that he's not got it anymore, and that's going to be harming his pace a little bit in a straight line compared to what it was before.
Yeah, it's you know, slip's going to help a lot, but James was putting in quicker times several laps up to the overtake. So I think Masters should be clever here and not lose too much time trying to fight him, and just try and sit behind his slip and use it to try and drag himself along with him, get some gap between the cars behind him.
We're going to go and have a little look at Falconer now, Josh, because he's in a pretty racy mood by the looks of it. Bringing the gap down now to Matt Edmondson ahead. We saw Edmondson have a little bit of an issue earlier on in the race. The thing to bear in mind here is that Foskett's behind, and we've seen Chris getting involved in all manner of action throughout the early portion of this evening in the pros race. Now, Foskett in car number 611 there has had a couple of incidents. What we don't want to see here is him getting involved with Falconer and Edmondson if we can help it. Now, we're going on the long run now down the pit straight. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough for a move here, but he is incredibly late on the brakes compared to some of these other drivers, so there's every chance that he'll definitely close the gap up. Let's see just how much closer he gets here into turn 1. So really squeezing down that gap, and is he going to get a better exit? I think he probably has. Yeah, he's gone much quicker on the exit there compared to the likes of Falconer and Edmondson, so that gap now really coming down. Only half a second now between the two of them. And then behind them, 4 seconds, is Damian Guy. So let's go and have a look at Anstis and Holloway now. So not much of a gap here between the two of them. And they're following behind Masters. Now, Masters almost looking like he might be dropping off in pace a little bit, because Anstis is really starting to climb up behind him, isn't he? So Holloway and Bacon also behind. Bacon, with that bit of damage we saw earlier, seems to just still be crawling around at the moment. We'll see what he gets up to in a little while. But Holloway and Anstis now 7/10. Not quite as close as it was a moment ago, but 2/10 is what separates Edmondson and Falconer at the moment. And as we come into the kind of middle section of the circuit now, there's going to be a chance for a move. I think here he's much tighter on the apex there. This is much better from Patrick Falconer. Great manoeuvres, and he's really getting up to the back of that Ferrari, isn't he? Oh, looking for a move. Sorry, Lamborghini, isn't it? And they've had a bit of contact there. He's pushed him wide. Is he going to give it back? No, he's going to go around the outside. Big dive for Falconer. Brilliant stuff. And they're side by side now, that Lambo and Beamer. And I think Foskett fancies a go here as well as they come into the final sector of the circuit. He's going to go round the outside using the slipstream of Falconer ahead of him. Chris Foskett going to get it into the chicane. He absolutely is. Forces his way in, and Edmondson down 2 places in that last part of the lap. That's a real shame for Edmondson, but I'm sure that Foskett will be out the way in a moment, and he'll be back into that fight possibly with Falconer. Falconer will now have to think to himself, do I just let this guy go, or do I try and defend this for the position? We know that Foskett's quick, and we know that we've seen a bit of action with him. If I was Falconer, I think I'd be letting him go. Let's have a look what happens down into turn 1 here. Foskett later on the brakes, makes himself known, but Falconer keeps his line pretty much. He's got a good exit, and I think he's probably got a better exit than Foskett almost there. That was, they're about even there by the looks of it. Edmondson just trying to hang on to this fight at the back, but I don't think that he's quite able to really there, Matt. So he'll just have to be a bit of a spectator. There could be action there which results in him getting ahead, but we'll see. Here's Masters under threat now from the likes of Anstis. So Anstis really closing in behind him, and then also behind them Adam Holloway. So a lot of drivers here who are up a lot of places. I think Holloway and Anstis are up about 8 or 9 places each at the moment. So to see them racing hard behind Masters, this could be another one for both of these guys. And Masters looking like he's not quite got the exit speed there compared to the car number 32 of Nathan Anstis. The Ferrari's doing battle. It's really close, bumper to bumper, and Adam Holloway, a complete spectator in this. He could be the one that profits here, couldn't he, Chris? Let's see. Oh, wait, at the inside for car number 32. No, just making himself known, and he's done it. I think he's just pushed him a little bit wide, but that's going to slow both these guys down. The Ferraris ahead really getting up each other's noses here, just absolutely nose to tail, pushing it so hard. Let's see from the TV view here, Masters really trying to hang on to that position, and car number 32 having a look around the outside. They're side by side now here as they're going to come into the final couple of corners, the chicane here before the last sector, and it's still Masters ahead as they go into the end of the lap. This is brilliant defence from Mr. Masters. Nathan Anstis has really got the bit between his teeth trying to get around there, and this has now allowed Gary Bacon to start catching up to the back of this pack, and Bacon with that stricken car, the tyre sticking out there on car number 53. I don't know what he's going to be able to do here. Is he trying to dive down on car number 26 into turn 1? He's going to have a good look, isn't he? Look at them now. It's a train of Ferrari and Lamborghinis, and here's Chris Foskett not trying the dive on turn 1 on this occasion, allowing Falconer to just carry on ahead as we flip back over to Steve Masters. Now, car number 32 really pushing up the inside there. Masters forced to just give a bit of room, which is going to harm the exit speed that he gets out of that corner. So the Ferraris really pushing each other hard here in the mid-pack, and there's going to be a move here. No, not quite. Nathan Anstis not brave enough to do it on this occasion, but he's going to have a look out for Adam Holloway behind him, because he really wants to get his nose in the action here as well. And Gary Bacon, also a spectator. What is a spectacle here in the mid-pack of this race in round 4. Brilliant stuff at the Nürburgring. I think that Gary Bacon's still having a look around. He's trying around the outside this time. He seems to have the car under relatively good control, considering the bumps and bangs that we've seen him have already this evening as we carry on with Adam Holloway. But look at how close Nathan Anstis is getting up ahead. There's half a second between Anstis and Holloway, but Masters now diving left and right all over the track, having to just keep an eye on his mirrors, and that's going to be slowed him down. He could miss a braking point if he's getting too distracted here by Nathan Masters. Much better line than Anstis coming out of the exit there, but I think at the minute it's a real toss up here between who's going to come out on top. It's Nathan has been pushing so hard, but sometimes those push laps are just costing him a little bit of time with scrappy exits occasionally. And speaking of scrappy exits, look at Gary Bacon really getting the scraps, and there goes Masters into the pits. Maybe the pressure getting to him a little bit there. Bacon also diving in, so that last lap from Bacon a little bit scrappy, just coming into the last sector, and he's decided to pit it on this occasion. Now Falconer behind doesn't appear to have Foskett behind him anymore, which makes me think that maybe he's also gone into the pits. Yes, he has. He's in the pit lane with Bacon and Masters. So about that time where people are starting to think about going into the pits to take that mandatory stop, and we'll see who comes out on top as the race develops. Right, let's just go through the top 10 for you just to let you know what the order of business is at the moment. So we've got Xander Hill in first position still, followed by Richard Jeppard, then Dave Hotchkiss in third position. Murray Luca's in fourth. A brilliant bit of action from Murray Luca. He's up 3 places in the Ferrari, so brilliant to see him there. Great stuff from Murray. Mark Johnson's behind them in fifth, another Ferrari in the top 5 at the moment. And then we've got James Foster behind in the Lamborghini, with Nathan Anstis for company in his Ferrari, and then another 2 Lamborghinis in the form of Adam Holloway and Kyoshi Kelly. A little bit of a battle going on there between those guys. And then last but not least in the top 10, we've got Patrick Falconer, who we have been watching closely this evening with a few interesting moves. Got round Matt Edmondson. That was a great little bit of... Oh no, was it Matt Edmondson? I think, or was it... Yeah, it was Edmondson. Yeah, it was Edmondson getting in the mix, wasn't it, with Foskett as well. But Foskett having pitted now, I wonder if Foskett will be able to put in a stunning outlap off that pit stop and then maybe make his way around Falconer as he comes into the pits in the coming laps. Now, we are going to have a little look at Damien Gee. He's in 11th position now. He hasn't pitted yet. He's 8 seconds down on Falconer at the moment, or 9 seconds by the looks of it. Damien had a bit of a spin earlier with Foskett. You can see there's a bit of damage on the side of that Ferrari. real shame for Damian. Damian's the kind of driver that we're used to seeing a bit higher up the order. He's a consistent guy that likes to just cruise through the laps and take advantage of some of that action that we've seen. He's also a very competitive driver. We've seen him in the radicals as well. He's a very fast driver in the radicals, so really great to see Damian Guy out here again this evening. Holloway has now gone into the pits, so P10 Holloway will now drop down to P11, I believe, and Guy will Damian G will take the position there in 10th for the moment. Let's go over to Anstis in 7th, car number 32. Looking a bit lonely now for Nathan, isn't it? There's not really anybody around him to play with, so he's just going to have to have a bit of a solo cruise until it's time to hit the pits. Now, Gary Bacon now back out. He's caught up with Masters off the back of that pit stop, and Foskett behind also looks like he's starting to catch his pack. Here comes somebody out the pits. Who was that? That was Holloway coming out. So Holloway's come out behind the fight with Bacon there and Masters, and Bacon really close behind Steve there. That's a real bonus that he's gotten from that pit stop. Obviously repaired the damage to that Ferrari as well, meaning that he's going to be able to have a bit more pace hopefully than he did have in the earlier portion of the race while he was a bit battered and bruised. Chris, I have to ask, of all the people that you see in the mid pack at the minute, have you got a favourite for who's going to come out on top of these fights after we've seen the rest of the pit stops kind of come in?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think Foskett's a bit too far back now to really do any big gains now, especially after his little tap and his lap 1 spin. But I put my money on Masters. He's my dark horse here. I was a bit worried the pit stops were going to split up this racing we had, but it seems to be quite a few of the guys are still close together. So hopefully we still get an action-packed second stint here to the end of the race.
You just mentioned your dark horse there. Last time you named a dark horse in the Formula 3, it was Paul Busby, and he went straight into the wall on lap 1.
Yeah.
At Laguna Seca.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Masters, if I put on the dark horse curse on you again, but I'm going to break it at some point.
The commentator's dark horse curse, yeah. Well, Bacon coming up very close now behind Mr. Masters. Ooh, round the outside, but he's gone way too wide. He's split it and he's tucked in, threaded the needle between Masters and Holloway. Boom, into the wall he goes, and that is going to be his race very much over, I would imagine. We'll have a little replay of that in a moment. Sean will line up that for us, but that was quite entertaining. Let's see what happens to him. He's pushing incredibly hard there behind Masters, and it looks like he just completely missed the corner, hasn't he? Really, he's missed the braking point, and yeah, off into the grass. And lucky that Holloway didn't really get involved. I mean, he didn't even lift there, I don't think, Holloway. But we can now go over to the fight between Holloway and Masters, because it looks like Masters perhaps losing a bit of pace here to Adam. So currently in P10 is Holloway, and only 0.3 separates him from P9. So we'll have to keep an eye on this fight between Lamborghini and Ferrari. Now, Bacon's back in the pits, no surprises there. I'm sure that is very much going to be him at the back of the order for the remainder of this race. Now, at the front, we've still got Xander Hill and Richard Jepp and David Hotchkiss in third. That has not changed at all at the moment. We're going to stay here with Masters and Holloway, and we'll have to keep an eye and see if that gap can be closed down any more in the closing stages of this race. 17 minutes to go, so we're well over the halfway point now, and I'm sure these guys have still got a lot to give in the form of entertainment value here at the Nürburgring tonight. Now, what I do need to mention to you is a little link that's going to be found in the video description down below for you. Now, the link in that video description is going to be the Inside iRacing UK podcast. You need to head over there if you want to get all of your iRacing UK news. You'll hear about updates to the GT3 League, all the kind of results that you've seen in the last few rounds, and you'll also get to hear from Jack Ashton from Team Fordzilla. Now, he's a driver coach over at Driver 61, but he's also competing in the UK Hot Hatch Championships as well. So be sure to tune in to the next episode. It's been released already over on the Spotify link. Hosts Mark Jennings and Calvin Dent run a great show there. Make sure you go and listen in. You'll also get to hear from Total Sim Sports Sean Cranleigh-Swash as he talks about the GT3. So all the more reason to go and listen in. Now, this fight and the grid here between Adam Holloway and and Mr. Masters here is really starting to heat up, and there's another contender starting to enter the frame here in the form of P11's Patrick Falconer. Half a second behind, and as this starts to hot up into turn one, they're really getting close in behind, aren't they? This gap really come down now. Falconer's absolutely got a chance to capitalise on the fight that's going on ahead of him, and I certainly think that we're going to see a three-way battle here for 9th, 10th and 11th. Holloway here really tucked in behind Masters still. Let's go and have a look at the rear wing view of Masters' car, and it's quite the sight to behold. Holloway all over the back of him in that Lamborghini, having a little look round the inside just to see where's the room maybe, but not making the bacon accident by looking a bit too far onto the grass. Now he's really managed to get it close up there. He's got a great run up behind Stephen Masters here, and Kelly ahead of them won't be worried too much about this fight because there's a 4-second gap at the moment. So these three are very much fighting for this one spot of land. Now Jep has just come into the pits from P2, so that'll be his mandatory pit stop with 15 minutes to go. Possibly a wise place to do it. Let's see where he comes out. Hopefully not in too much traffic. Foster also from P6 has come in, so we'll see where those guys come out in a few moments' time as Masters having to defend for his life here. P9 has never felt so hard to hang on to. All the pressure from Holloway behind, this must be playing on Steve Masters. I mean, we really want to see him get to the end. Your dark horse here, and of course, car number 10 absolutely going for it. I think Holloway is really keen though. He's diving in and out, having a look around, and as they navigate the curves here in the chicane, there's a lot of bumping and banging around going on there for all of the guys using all the track where they can, and I think Masters has not got quite a good an entry there into the last corner. The back of that car looking like it was possibly getting a bit out of shape. Falconer really tucked in behind Holloway here. The gap between both of these guys now 4/10 from Ferrari to Lambo to Beamer. Into turn one they go. Nobody's going to be brave enough for a move here though, but Falconer really late on the brakes there, and he's almost touching the back of the Lamborghini. He must have grazed him near enough there. I bet if you looked at that from the nose cam, that would be pretty much blackout. You'd just see nothing because he was that close. That was incredible stuff there from Falconer behind in the BMW.
I think this is good from Falconer. It's probably what I'd do as well. Like I'd start pressurizing Holloway to make a move.
A little replay here, Josh, of Anstis and Kyoshi Kelly having a battle here. Kyoshi Kelly managed to get it down the inside there. Brilliant move, Lambo on Ferrari. So as they go around, I wasn't expecting to see that one. I didn't think that Kyoshi had was going quicker than Anstis at that point in time. I thought we'd seen Anstis looking quite stronger in the early part of the race, but obviously just having to concede that one on this occasion. Oh, Falconer dips a tyre off. We were just saying he was really pushing the limits, and that might have been pushing just a little bit too hard. Top four have just gone into the pits as well, so Zander Hill now from P1 goes in, and Richard Jep now going to come around the final corner, and it looks to me like Richard Jep could actually have a good run here into P1. Let's just see where he comes out. Zander Hill now on the pit exit. He could have more pace. Zander Hill coming out of the pits, but Richard Jep absolutely slamming it down the pit straight into turn one. He's not going to be able to catch him on this occasion, but the gap is now 3 seconds between them. Not really what Richard would have wanted. Not been able to make the undercut work on this occasion. Zander remains in P1. Let's see if Zander has to maybe just get that car kind of back in the rhythm a little bit. Maybe this is a chance for Richard to, now he's had a lap or two out, he can maybe close that gap up. It's still sitting at around 3 seconds, and Dave Hotchkiss behind, now dropping to about 5 seconds behind these guys as well. Let's have a little look at Dave in the Porsche. We've not had, I don't think we've really looked at him since the start in the 911 Art and GT3 there. Lovely to see Dave out here in P3. Nice clean race for Dave so far. He's kept it ahead of Luca, and very much having a race of his own here with very few errors, picking up a bit of curb there on the exit. We've got Amos in the pit lane now, the Ford of Amos coming in from P13, dropping down to 15 at the moment. I'm sure we'll see a little bit more from him later on. Now let's go back over to Falconer, car number 33, currently residing in 11th position. Seems to have dropped back a little bit from the fight ahead of him. Masters, though, still doing a commanding job at holding off Holloway behind him.
Yeah, he's doing a brilliant job for my for my prediction so far. I hope he can keep continuing to doing it. As I was saying, like, I think Falconer's what he can do here is probably push up a little bit on Holloway and kind of force Holloway to push even harder onto Masters, because he doesn't want to start getting attacked and slowing down and losing time to Masters. So it'll be in his interest to push forward even harder, but that could work out really great for Falconer.
Here comes the move, though. He's really having a little look, isn't he? Yeah, Holloway getting really wide there on the exit for Holloway. He's pushing as hard as he can here to try and get past Masters. It must be slowing him down, and he wants to get out of the clutches of Falconer, who has once again managed to bring himself right up to the back of Holloway's bumper here. Goes for the slightly wider line on the entry here. He's right in behind Masters, and he's going to be going side by side here with Holloway. He's got it done. He's got the dive done up the inside, incredibly close. He's brilliant there. He's got a great exit as well out of the corner in the chicane. That was great stuff there from Falconer. And now he's going to have a little look at the inside of Masters as they come into the pit straight. He's managed to keep it incredibly close to the back of him, but this might not be over yet. There's only 6/10 between Holloway and Falconer still. There's every chance of another move here as we go for the big dive down into turn one. What will Falconer be wanting to do here? We know he's later on the brakes than these guys, and he goes down the inside of Masters. He's done it. A bit of a bump there. That's a little bit dirty, and there goes Holloway at the inside of Masters as well. But Masters is going to try and fight back on the inside. They're going to go side by side here. Masters on the inside, but he's not been able to hold on to it. Probably a little bit shooketh after that little shunt that he had from the BMW there of Falconer. That was great racing from all these guys, but on this occasion, Masters coming off worse. And now look at Foskett. That's going to be 3 places that he loses here. Absolutely swamped. And Foskett's gone on the grass. He's tried too hard mowing the lawn here at the Nürburgring. Thank you, Chris, but please leave that to the groundsman. The Porsche not coming off well in this fight, unfortunately, for Foskett. A bit of a nightmare race for him so far this evening. So Patrick Falconer now in P9. He's managed to make his move. He's gotten a lovely bit of lovely points hauled out of that now, and Masters having to try and recover a little bit. A bit of a shunt there. I'm sure we might maybe see a protest for that, but we'll see. It looked like hard racing to me. What would you say, Chris?
Yeah, it's. I think it's just.
Josh, sorry, I keep calling you Chris.
It's like, no, I take it as a compliment.
Yeah. You say fantastic, and so are you.
Yeah, I think it was good hard racing. He just lost a bit of momentum there, where he just turned in and probably didn't have the awareness. Maybe he's on single monitor, didn't hear his crew chief or whatever, or the the stress of the racing, and just lost a bit of momentum. That's why he lost 2 places. So it's a bit of a shame. Good racing though so far.
So it looks like Holloway's managing to keep it very close to Foskett, isn't he? To Falconer ahead of him at the minute. And going into the final corner here, I think there's going to be potential for a move into turn 1. We know that Falconer's late on the brakes. I wonder if Holloway can be even braver on this occasion and go for that inside dive. We've seen it happen so many times, but obviously the cutback's going to be an option as well. He's gathering a little look on the right, but not quite on this occasion. He's just going to keep it nice and tidy, see if he can get the better exit here. And I think he is possibly just a little bit tidier than Falconer was on the exit of turn 1. So Masters behind him, obviously just keeping his eye in. He's been a little bit battle scarred, obviously, after that altercation with Falconer. So maybe he'll be looking to get his own back if these two come together and retake that place off the back of any drama between the Lambo and the Beamer. Now, that we have a little announcement for you this evening. Now, on Wednesday evening, we're going to be hosting a GT3 race for iRacing UK. This is going to be called the Race for Katie. At 9 p.m, we'll be going live with a special broadcast charity event. This is going to be a race that starts off at 9 p.m, and we're looking to basically raise some awareness for a long-standing member of the community. The race is all in aid of charity. All the drivers there. It's not going to be like these league races where they're all bumping and banging. We're there for a great little parade where we're going to show our support for the charity, and obviously Katie family will be watching the race as well. So we really want to make sure that we acknowledge all the hard work that's been done towards raising money at the moment. I believe a total of £10,000 has been raised, I believe, at the moment. Sean might correct me on that in the background, but I believe £10,000. Yeah, corrected me there. It is 10. So a great event we're going to be running on Wednesday night. Make sure to tune in for the iRacing broadcast, and we'll keep you updated with some more details on on that later on in the race. Now, we're going to go back to Adam Holloway here, car number 26 in the Lamborghini, still chasing down hard behind Falconer. He's not been able to make the move yet. I'm just looking a bit further back, and Foskett's getting close to the pack of Masters again. I wonder if Masters will just maybe let him pass on this occasion. It's looking a bit dangerous, isn't it, at the back there? So on this occasion, Holloway still not close enough, but it looks to me like Falconer had not quite as good an exit there. Turn 1 looking a bit weaker for Falconer in that BMW. Now, Josh, you've been racing these GT3s. I mean, you know sort of the strengths and weaknesses. I mean, if you had to pick between the Beamer and the Lamborghini here, which one would you be going for?
Beamer, all day. It just looks incredibly strong at this track this week. We've got Beamer 1-2 at the top. I see Dave Hodgson as well. I think he's rinsed every ounce of pace out of that Porsche as well, sitting in P3 at the moment. But yeah, to your question, Beamer.
BMW rules the day, and it absolutely does. As you mentioned, at the top of the grid still Zander and Hill and Richard Jep in P1 and 2. So Dave Hotchkiss not really getting a look in P3 at the moment, and then Murray Luca still in P4 after the pit stops. Great to see Murray Luca still there. 5 minutes of this to go, and our top 10 at the moment is Zander Hill, Richard Jep, Dave Hodgkins, Murray Luca, Mark Johnson, James Foster, Koichi Kelly, Nathan Ansis, Patrick Falconer, and Adam Holloway, who are just watching. Here's Chris Foskett now having a little look around Mr. Masters. Masters hoping not to get into any trouble here. The Ferrari of Masters has raced incredibly well this evening. We've seen him go through some very turbulent battles with his fellow drivers, and Foskett now just looking to try and recover a few more places after, as we mentioned earlier, a bit of a turbulent race himself actually. So car number 611 of Porsche just getting in nice and close. But behind the Ferrari of Masters, they go into that chicane. Looks like a bit of curb picked up there, but as we go into the final corner, let's just see if Foskett can close that gap up into the pit straight. And I think he's got a very strong run there, Chris. Sorry, Josh. I'm going to keep making that mistake. You're going to have to tell me off after the broadcast. But Foskett now not close enough in behind the Ferrari of Masters to make a move into turn 1. We'll have to keep an eye as this develops. Only 3/10 at the moment. It's one of the closest fights that we've got on our screens. The other one to mention would be Damian G. So Damian and his Ferrari currently battling it out with Mr. Edmondson ahead of him. Only half a second there. Two Ferraris going head to... Sorry, Ferrari and Lamborghini going head to head. This has been quite an unfortunate race for Damian, having dropped back in the order a little bit. As we go into turn 1, he tucks it down the inside. Very brave from Damian. Tries to close it off. Doesn't want to let... Edmondson take that place back, and he's going to have to push him wide round the outside here. Defending that position is Damian G, doing incredibly well in the Ferrari, but it looks like he's just given it back maybe, is he? No, he's still on the inside. Great racing here, side by side into the S's. Here they go. Brilliant stuff from Damian and Mr. Edmondson, still side by side. Lamborghini versus Ferrari power in a straight line. Which is going to come out on top? And it looks like Damian is the one who is going to be victorious here. Gets it ahead. He's established his position there. Great racing from these guys, and now that puts Edmondson behind by 3/10 that he needs to make up. Let's see if Edmondson's got it in the slipstream. He might be able to catch up. The other one we need to go back to, though, is going to be Foskett and Masters. That gap now down to 2/10. Foskett really pushing hard. We've seen incident before with the grass. Let's see if he's going to be brave enough to make a move. This time he's got a great run by the looks of it with 3 minutes to go. Around the outside, there's going to be defence from Masters there on the inside. A nice clean exit from Foskett, though, and I think Masters very nearly picking up a bit of grass there on the exit of the chicane, and Foskett goes for a very big dive, or what looked like a big dive, into the final corner. Hit the anchors a little bit just in time before he hit the rear bumper there of Mr. Masters. Now it's got to happen surely into turn 1. Now he's been so aggressive through the last few laps, really pushing Masters to the limit, and as we come into turn 1, he's very late on the brakes, but still the gap to Masters ahead actually not really closing down at all there. Let's go and have a look at the Holloway and Falconer fight, though, because these two still sparring ahead of the fight that we were just watching of Masters and Foskett. So two almost identical battles going on here. Ferraris involved in one of them. We've got Ferrari, Porsche, Lambo, and Beamer. We've got the whole spectrum nearly here in the middle of the pack. The Lambo, Adam Holloway, still looking strong here this evening as he's chasing on behind Falconer, who's really been putting in the defence here in the last couple of minutes. He doesn't want to give that place up after having such a stunning race so far, Mr. Falconer. It has been quite interesting to watch them. 4 places up is Falconer at the minute, so he won't really want to be giving that away, but Holloway will want to add an 8th to the 7 that he's already taken in this race. Some of these obviously will have been the result of incidents earlier on with people dropping down the order. Other will be raw talent and hardcore overtaking maneuvers. So great to see people really shuffling around the order from where they started. The 3 that haven't changed though are the top 3 in the form of Xander Hill, Richard Jepp and Dave Hotchkins. On your screen now is Xander Hill. That was a very good segue over to Mr. Hill as we go into turn 1. Less than 2 minutes to go now. There'll be just 2 laps, I think, probably at this point. So let's keep an eye on Xander for a bit. There are some fights still going on further down the order, but it's good to have a little look at the examples at the front. The gap down to 2.4 seconds in the last couple of laps here at the Nürburgring. Now, it's worth keeping an eye on this because it was 3 seconds earlier on, so it does look like Richard Jett's been closing in a little bit on Xander Hill, but I don't think with only less than a minute to go now, he's really going to be able to trim that time off unless Xander has some kind of incident in the closing stages of this race. But it's evenly matched BMW power. The only thing that separates them is setups and raw skill, so we'll have to keep an eye on them in the closing stages. Behind them, Dave Hotchkiss and Murray Luca. Again, Murray having a very sedate race behind. He is actually quite close. So again, 3 seconds behind P3. 3 seconds isn't a lot if you have a little incident, a little off track, and you have to take a slowdown. That can really make all the difference to the loss of speed and momentum in your lap. So every chance still for Murray Luca if something was to happen. Dave Hotchkiss had a very lonely race so far as well. Adam Holloway's 2/10 off the back of Falconer though. So if we have a look at the Lamborghini, only a 10th now maybe. I think it's going to be pretty close now into the closing stages. We will probably go back over to Foskett as well, because look at how close Foskett is behind Masters. Masters' defence has been fantastic so far this evening. He's had a few bumps, unfortunately, which is where left him where he is now, but Foskett just hasn't been able to get it round him yet. And it's been brilliant racing all around. Let's go over to Xander Hill now. The checkered flag is out and he is your winner here in the 4th round of GT3 Season 4. This is the Pro category, and a great victory, commanding, but you might even say, there from Xander. So great stuff to see. And then Richard Jepp in 2nd, Hotchkiss in 3rd, and Murray Luca flashes the lights of the Ferrari over the line. He goes. Mark Johnson, another one we were watching earlier on in the race. Mark had a bit of a fight earlier with the likes of Luca and Foster and some of the others, and it's good to see now he's come over the line in P5. And now let's look at the last corner. Falconer's really getting pushed hard here by Holloway, but it's going to be down to the run to the line, and I don't think that Holloway is going to be able to do it. They swerve left and right, and they flash their lights over the line. Falconer comes in ahead of Holloway. Brilliant racing from all of these guys, and Foskett wasn't able to get the job done on Masters Ferrari either. So brilliant action here from the Nürburgring. That has been a really thrilling race to behold, actually. I think last time we were here in the GT3s, there wasn't nearly as much action when Tim and I covered it, so that was really, really great to see. And awesome action. Now, if you want to be part of this kind of action, you need to head over to the www.facebook.com/iRacingUK. Ping one of the admins over there a message and we'll get you signed up. Now, speaking of joining up with these GT3s, we are also very pleased to announce that the registration for the 5th season is now open. If you like the look of what you've seen here, why not head over to www.totalsimsport.tv/GT3 for your chance at appearing in one of these kind of broadcasts. Now, if you're in the Discord, you need to make sure you go over to the GT3 Season 5 channel to register your interest. Chris and the team there will be more than happy to welcome you into the league. Link in the video description down below. Now we'll get you the results on screen from that race, and I believe we might also have the league standings coming up as well. Worth mentioning that we have got some more racing for you this evening. The elites will be on next after this. Here are your results. So as we said earlier, Xander Hill, a commanding race in P1 with that BMW. He's followed by his Go BMW Richard Jepp in P2. Third place was Dave Hodgkins, and then following him we've got Murray Luca, great race from Murray, and then Mark Johnson comes in fifth position. James Foster's in sixth, followed by Koyoshi Kelly, Nathan Anstis, Patrick Falconer, and then Adam Holloway in P10. Steve Masters in 11th. A lot of defensive driving from him tonight, and Chris Foskett, the resident lawnmower, has come in P12, followed by Damien G, Matt Edmondson, Joel Amos, Gary Bacon, Lee Green, and then Mark Jennings there in 18th. So great racing here at Nürburgring so far this evening. We will be going over to a short break between the races in a moment. It is just worth mentioning we have more races coming up for you this week in the form of Formula 3 as well, where we'll be going over to Donington for some stunning open wheeler action in the virtual UK. We'll be coming back to you at 9 o'clock for some more GT3. The elites will be here and we'll be watching them go wheel to wheel in the final race for the evening. Make sure you join us back here on Total Sim Sport. Thank you very much. Welcome back. You join us back here this evening at 9 p.m. now for the fourth round of the iRacing UK GT3 Elite Series in the fourth season here of GT3 racing here on iRacing UK's Twitch stream, and you're also here hopefully with us on the Total Sim Sport YouTube. So we here at Total Sim Sport presenting you again some more action here from the virtual Nürburgring via iRacing, the world's premier motorsport simulator. With me again for race 2 is not Chris and definitely Josh Wilson. So Josh, after the first race, we've seen absolute pandemonium on the exit of the Mercedes arena section of the circuit. A lot of action obviously at the start, losing some pretty competent drivers in those early laps. What did you make of it all? Any highlights personally for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely stormer of a first race. I mean, we only had 18 cars on the grid, but it was just pure action from start to finish. My favorite was probably the 3-4 wide going down to turn 1 halfway through the race, few touches to everyone. It was just iconic at this track to just see so many cars going wide into turn 1. It's so fun, it's so dangerous, and yeah, that's my highlight for the race.
Real variation of cars out on the track, with the BMWs reigning supreme, with Zander Hill coming in at the top of the order, very closely followed by Richard Jepp. So a great race from all in that first pro event that we had this evening here. Now, if you've liked the look of the action on your screens tonight, make sure to head over to www.facebook.com/iRacingUK. You can also reach the team at IRUK_team on Twitter and Instagram. For the broadcast, you can head over to Total Sim Sport. We are on Twitter as /Total Sim Sport. You can also find us at Twitch in the same place, or head over to www.totalsimsport.tv. Now, even better still, I've got another link for you, and the link you're going to look for is in the video description down below, and it's the Inside iRacing podcast link. Now, you want to hear the Inside iRacing UK podcast for all of the news about the leagues, what's been going on in the group and the community, and what you can expect to hear coming up in the future. This edition of the podcast, the third episode, you'll be able to listen to Team Fordzilla's Jack Ashton. He's been competing in the UK Hot Hatch Championships, and he's also a coach over at Driver 61. Tune in to listen to hosts Mark Jennings and Calvin Dent. Have a little chat with him. They also talk with Sean Cranleigh-Swash from Total Sim Sport about the GT3 Season 4 League and where it's been so far. Mark Jennings was obviously in the last race. A little bit of a disappointing result for Mark. Got into some action in the early portion of the race. Now, we'll be bringing you a lot more of that action this evening. But if you want to get involved in the 5th season of the GT3 League, you can also head over to totalsimsport.tv/GT3 to sign up. Or if you're a member of the Discord, make sure to go over to the GT3 Season 5 channel to register your interest. You might get to see yourself in one of these broadcasts in the future. Some fantastic racing we've been able to bring to you so far from the Nürburgring. Why wouldn't you want to be part of that? Now, Nürburgring, dubbed Green Hell, as we mentioned earlier, by Jackie Stewart. Interestingly, actually, the circuit kind of had its first stone laid in September of 1925, when, as you can imagine, economically speaking, Germany wasn't doing particularly well. Now, the circuit, designed to be a true test of man and machine, was actually constructed and justified as a project to help end unemployment after Germany was essentially bankrupt post-war time. So interesting history for the circuit, but obviously designed to be simulate sections of racetrack, but also almost like road circuit-esque corners in different parts of the format. We're here at the Grand Prix circuit layout, which goes for 5.14 kilometers, or if you prefer miles, that's 3.2. We're currently having a little look here at Stuart Bickley in the qualifying session. So with about 11 minutes to go, he's going to put in the first very fast lap. Let's have a little look at what Stuart Bickley has to offer here. And that's a 155.49, but he's been usurped on the top by Tom Tennant in the BMW. So Beamers and Ferrari setting the time so far, 155s all around, separated by 0.3 at the moment. Now, Josh Pratt comes in as well. A few more laps coming in on the timing screen. So we've got 155 for Josh Pratt. Damian Lobbic sticks it into 4th position at the moment with the 155 as well. And then let's see if we get any more. There's Dom Roberts, 154.32. So brilliant first lap out from Dom Roberts. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. But there's a lot more to be had as the cars lighten up a little bit on the fuel load and the tyres start to warm up around this qualifying. Now, the drivers have had a 55-minute practice session already this evening in which to hone their skills around the circuit. And now this is the bit that matters, to position yourself on the grid where you'd like to be for the start of the race this evening, which will be 16 cars, I believe, on the grid as we go for 45 minutes around here at the Nürburgring. There's Austin William Campbell in the Ford, the sharky looking livery there on the front. Scary stuff there in the GT. So far, Austin is in P11 of 157.2. Quite a bit off the pace compared to some of the others out on the circuit at the moment. Chris Hitchin now heading over the line. What's Chris going to be capable of here? P11 at the moment. So not an incredibly quick lap from Chris in the Porsche 911 GT3. Josh Pratt in the Ferrari, putting out another lap at the moment. He's to be his second one out, I believe, at the moment. He's currently done a 155.6 and in 6th position. We'll have to keep an eye on him and see what he can bring to the table for the final few laps that he's got to set out here. Dom Roberts still very much comfortable at the top of the table. Nobody really being able to challenge that 154.3 that we saw from Dom that's put him on the top. He's actually gone into the pit lane now, so that might be Dom either done with that, or maybe he's gone into refill. I'll have a look at how many laps he's done. Let's just have a little quick check of that. They get 4 in this series to complete in the time, and with 8 minutes left to go, I'm surprised that he's not still out there at the moment. So it looks like he's just done the 1, I think, has he? Yeah. He's quite far ahead at the moment, though, so maybe he's sitting pretty comfortable that he's going to be able to not be taken off that top spot by the likes of Cy Anthony or a Tennant behind him. With the 154 from Cy Anthony, so quite a lot off the pace there from Cy. 4/10, unfortunately, so that won't be enough for him to stick it on the top at the moment. We'll keep an eye on him, though, as we go through the circuit now into the final corner in the Ferrari there for Cy Anthony. The last corner, not really lined up very well there, and he's stopped. So I think he's obviously decided that wasn't worth it. And Acklam now goes into P2 just by a couple of hundredths. That's 300ths of a second there. He's just done Cy Anthony. So that must be a pretty good feeling for Acklam there, claiming that second space on the front row. Here's Dom Roberts back out again now, not looking like he's too bothered at the minute. Still 4/10 between him and anybody else. So car number 44 sitting pretty on the top. We'll see what Dom Roberts can do later on, but what we do know about Dom Roberts, he is very strong so far within this league, isn't he? So 2 race wins so far for Dom Roberts. He took Road Atlanta and Road America, obviously enjoying the USA circuits there. Hungaroring was taken by Hitchin, though, on October the 3rd. That was the obviously a new circuit been added to iRacing recently, so our drivers getting a chance to have an early look at Hungaroring in the GT3 League. Danny Goslin's here in P6. He's set a 155.498, so separated by 4 thousandths of a second to Bickley and the Ferrari ahead. So incredibly close, which just goes to show that we're going to have an absolute nose-to-tail fight, hopefully, here this evening in the same way that we did in the pro race earlier this evening. That was incredible racing in the pros, and if that was anything to go by, the elites should be fantastic. We'll have to keep an eye on the likes of Gosling and Bickley, but what's Gosling going to be able to do now as he enters the final corner? Will he be able to get ahead of Bickley's 154.94? Oh, I think he's just blinked off my screen there, actually. I've just lost him. He's blinked off everyone's screen, so maybe those few tenths were maybe he's gone exactly the 88 miles an hour. He needed to go back into the future or something and time travel. We'll go back to Gosling later on in the session. Here's Damian Lobbic, currently P9, 155.7 for Damian as the fastest lap for him. He's not really too close to either Pratt or Contos, who are on either side of him, but we'll see what happens as he comes through the final stages of the lap.
Nick, did you catch both Cy Anthony and Chris Hitchin was stopping before the start-finish line and resetting back to their garage on their second lap? So what they're doing there is they're seeing that they're not up on their delta, so there's no point finishing that second flying lap. It's better to stop before the start-finish line, reset back to the pits, get fresh tyres, and then go again. You get an out lap, and then you have 2 laps left to do your time on.
So there you go, some sneaky tactics out there in the elites. They know exactly what they need to do to get themselves the best chance of being up the order. So yes, we did absolutely witness Cy Anthony stopping on the just after on the exit of the final corner to reset the car. We'll have to go over to him and have a look. He obviously got taken out of second place by Acklam. Not by a whole lot, but still, nonetheless, Cy Anthony will be looking to give himself a chance to make his way back into P2. Let's go over to Lobbic here into the final corner in the BMW for Damian. P9 at the moment. Let's see if he can put himself a couple more spaces up. Car number 5 comes towards the end of the lap here, and he's stopped, has he, though? He's not really gone for it, has he? He's slowed down. So that's not really done him any good there, unfortunately, for Damian. So maybe you knew we were watching. Let's go to Goldborn. Will Goldborn currently in 10th, rounds out the top 10 for us in the Porsche, 155.78. So 300ths of a second between him and Damian ahead in P9. Will he be able to do something with his lap here? 4 minutes to go in the session. Let's hope that that Will has got something extra in the pocket here to bring himself up the order further in that top 10. He's looking strong at the minute, a bit shaky there. Oh, was that maybe track limits possibly? It looks like he's continuing, so maybe he didn't get an X for that one, but it did look a little bit on the edge there. Really using all the track here. After all, you have purchased it with your hard-earned pound coins. Now, Will, I think Josh, when we you're not Will, you're not Chris. I can't get it right tonight, can I? What on earth is wrong? Do you starting to feel a bit unwanted, I expect? I'm sorry.
I don't know how many more names you're going to get in tonight.
I mean, I could try Tim maybe. I hear if you say Tim Cox 3 times in a mirror, he appears. It is Halloween after all, and that would be quite scary, wouldn't it? So I'm sorry if you're listening, but had to get that one in. Back over to Tom Tennant, P4 at the minute. He is behind Cy Anthony, not by a whole lot, but I don't think he's really going to be able to close that gap up too much. 3/10. I think Cy did go back out for another lap. Tennant here in the 155s, the first one. He's quite close to getting into those 154s, only a 10th away from that kind of action as we come into the last section of the track. I wonder if Tennant will be able to do anything in this situation. We did see Kontos jump up to 7th a minute ago as well, and it looks like Goldborn's managed to put it into P8. That's brilliant stuff from Will Goldborn. So we did see him, I think, down in 10th before, and now he's managed to make his way up. Here's Tennant coming around the last corner now in the BMW. What's he going to be able to do in 4th position? Will he be able to get ahead of Cy Anthony? He's not been able to do it, has he? I don't think. No, that's unfortunate for Tennant. He did improve, just not quite enough on this occasion. He got himself into those 154s and 2/10 left between him. So, yeah, brilliant stuff from Tennant. They'll be very close in the race, I'm sure, between him and Cy Anthony. Hopefully not too close, though. Chris Hitchin, 14th at the moment. Last man out on track in the Porsche. Let's see what Chris can do. Best at the minute is a 156.2, so he's quite a bit off the pace of some of the others in the pack at the moment. And with 2 minutes to go, this is going to be one of the last chances that he gets to get the lap done. Dom Roberts' 154 has gone very largely unchallenged. The closest man to him, and it looks like Hitchens decided to pack it in there. He's not like the time that he's got on the screen, and that is it, over for him. So back in the pits he goes, still in P14. 1.9 off the pace to the leader at the moment, so almost 2 seconds back. I mean, do you see a situation arising here where we have back markers and people having to be waved blue flags tonight?
Oh, it is the elite race, so 100%. I'm counting on at least one back marker tonight. Just hopefully not after a turn 1 pile up. I hope they at least get to turn 2 this time. But if we, based on what we saw in the last race, I think we're in for another round of really good racing here. We've got a nice spread of manufacturers here, different styles in these cars, very spread out here. So it's I think it's going to be a good race.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, it will hopefully. So the last elite race, obviously Dom Roberts, we said, went up and won that race. That was brilliant stuff from Dom. Another one to bear in mind is Danny Gosling was actually in P2 in the last race as we won. So as we finished up. So that was actually, he's in P6 today. So that's 4 places he might need to pick up if he wants to make a similar result. Damian Lobbic, another one who was strong in the elite race. He was P3, and then Josh Pratt, Richard Simner, Harry Gaylor, Stuart Bickley, David Lowison, Daryl Norkett, and David Contos was the top 10. So it was Scott Tuffy's another name that we can see in there as well. So Scott Tuffy, you might remember from the Formula 3. And Josh, last time out on the Formula 3, Tuffy didn't necessarily have the best race, did he? He was dropped back a little bit further down the order from memory, and I think a couple of incidents possibly caught up with back markers. So the F3 has been a great series as well to watch, and some of the drivers, we do see similar names popping up across the leagues, don't we? So obviously the likes of yourself in the in the leagues, and we also had Paul Busby previously before he retired from the GT3s, but he's been racing, a very keen racer in the F3 series. Very crafty off the start is Paul, and it's been great to watch on Tuesday nights. Now we're going to be going over to a 5-minute warm-up now for our drivers. The race will begin and they'll grid up after this warm-up session. You wouldn't think they'd need it really after 55 minutes of racing, 15 minutes of qualifying, and all the rest of it. But here we go, out for another run in the GT3 cars before we get started. As you said, a good spread of manufacturers here tonight, Josh, so we'll see who comes out on top. BMW's obviously looking like the premium choice here at Nürburgring, with 2 of them in the top 3 in the last race. Do you think we're going to see the same again here?
Yeah, I struggle not to see the same thing happen here, especially with Dominic Roberts in the BMW. You know, that's Absolutely. A strong racer and a strong car. It's a pretty nasty combo.
And you think about it, I mean, Danny Gosling, who was last week's P2, he's also in the Beamer as well. Damian Lobbic, who was in P3, he was also in a BMW. So, I mean, it is looking like a strong lineup, and absolutely going to be a challenge tonight for our drivers. 4 minutes on this countdown now before the race, and we'll be getting underway. Worth mentioning that in the last Elite race, we did have a few DNFs actually. So the likes of Austin, William Campbell didn't finish. James Acklam actually didn't make the end of the last race either, I believe, disconnected from that. I think he started in P2 and then ended up down in P15. So Tom Tennant, another one that you've seen obviously in the lineup this evening, didn't finish the last race. And James Armstrong, another one that dropped off in that one. So a lot of people, a lot of strong drivers fall foul here at in the GT3 League. Let's see if we can keep it clean tonight. We had obviously a bit of punterino in the round 1 earlier in the pros in the initial event, and hopefully we won't be seeing too much of that again this evening. So now, it's worth just mentioning we do have another event for you to tune into this week, and that's going to be on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. That is called Race for Katie. We'll be racing in GT3 cars for an hour from 9 p.m. all in the name of charity. We're going to be collecting donations for charity. Katie's currently raised around £10,200 for the charity. It's all in aid of mental health. Making sure that there'll be a link in the chat to the charity where you can read about it more. But yes, join us on Wednesday evening for some racing around iRacing, provided by the Premier Motorsport Simulator. iRacing as usual in the GT3 cars, all in the name of charity and goodwill. So we look forward to seeing you on Wednesday, but don't forget to tune in on Tuesday as well, when we also have some Formula 3 action for you in the form of Donington. Donington Park was a fantastic race in the first series of the iRacing UK Formula 3s. We saw some absolutely stunning action there, and Josh, you were just getting into the Formula 3s at about that time, is that right?
Yeah, that was right at the beginning of my iRacing F3 career there. That's right, and it was one of the very first races. I think it was my second race ever. And
what do you think to Donington? Looking forward to it?
Yes, it's so fun to hot lap it. It's a little bit crazy to race it, especially that layout, the shorter layout where it turns right, the chicane there. So it's very hard to follow cars. It's very hard to overtake. But with the lineup of the drivers we have, I think it'll be a really exciting race. Plenty of action.
Absolutely right. Yeah, we saw Jerome Lamy have some wins recently in the form of Laguna Seca and one of the other races in the season. We've seen a real spread of winners across that league. It's been great fun. And if you tune in on Tuesday night for the Formula 3, we'll be live at about 9:10 here on both the TSS YouTube and iRacing UK Twitch. You'll get to hear from an exclusive interview we got with Roxy Gibson, another driver in the league. We were speaking to Roxy earlier on this week, and she's given us her insight into into the action in the first half of the season and just how it feels to be in that kind of middle backpack where there's still equally as much action as we get to see up at the front. Less than a minute now on the warm-up. Let's get the qualifying times up on the screen so we can just remind you of the order of business for this evening. Only 30 seconds to go on the clock, but we'll be more than happy to have a quick rundown of who's going to be at the front. Now, we're currently with Stuart Bickley, but here are your qualifying results. Dom Roberts at the top of 154.3. It was a very straightforward lap for Dom. He looked very comfortable with it and didn't go back out after that, really, to set anything quicker. Following him, we have James Ackland, P2. He's got 2/10 off the back of Dom Roberts, incredibly close at the front of the grid, as you can see. And then following them, we've got Cy Anthony in third. Tom Tennant joins him on the second row. Stuart Bickley's in fifth. Then we've got Danny Gosling, the second place driver from the last race. And then David Contos, Will Goldborn, Richard Seymour, Josh Pratt, and Damian Lobbic. Austin Williams and then David Lowerson behind them, P11 and P12. And then we've also got, P12 and P13. And then we've also got Chris Hitchin in 14th, Ben Cullen, Harry Gaylor, and Daryl Norkett, who did not set a time, those bottom three. So we've got a Porsche and two BMWs at the bottom there with no time. See what they can do. Daryl was the P3 driver from the last race, so I'm sure that he'll be able to put a challenge in. We might get to see him charging through the grid this evening, making his way up. Dom Roberts, obviously the favourite. We've got two BMWs looking incredibly strong on the front row, just as we did with the form of Zanderhill and Richard Jett in the last race. Our drivers now are lining up on the grid for you, going to be following the safety car around for half a lap here before we get underway at the Nürburgring. Now, we're still just waiting, I think, for, it looks like P2 to grid up there. James Ackland possibly that we're waiting for. Yep, there we go. So we've got everybody on the grid now, apart from Norkett at the back, who hasn't yet joined us. And then that BMW of Norkett will round out the order and get us ready to go underway. And actually, it looks like Norkett might be, he's run out of time and he's going to be starting from the pit lane if he starts at all. So we'll have to keep an eye on what happens with Daryl. Maybe he's not had the practice time this week and he wants to just take it easy at the back. We'll have a look as we get underway here this evening at the Nürburgring. So we're going to follow the safety car around for half a lap, and obviously the drivers want to get the tyres a little bit warmed up here as we get underway. It's a rolling start as usual for the GT3s, and we'll be going for 45 minutes with one mandatory pit stop for our drivers. So, Dom Roberts, P1, what will he be able to do? Will James Ackland be able to get a decent jump off the start and push Dom Roberts into some form of error into turn one? We will absolutely see as we now come round the chicane and past the pit lane. The safety car will peel off out of the way of our drivers, and we're about to get underway. The last corner here, they go around 2 by 2, the columns of cars, and it looks like Dom Roberts has gone for a really early dive out of turn one, and look at that, they're really all close together there. I think we've almost got people overtaking each other off the start in the green. I think we might have had there actually, that looked like Cy Anthony might have jumped the line a bit there, but we'll have a little look. Let's see what's going on here into turn one. Cy Anthony on the inside, and then we've also got other drivers here. Stuart Bickley there, P24, car number 24 at the inside. He's getting put under extreme pressure, and he's going to lose it on the outside here around the Mercedes arena. Car number 24 dropping back a little bit to 64. That's Will Goldborn just making his way ahead. David Contos here looking for a go as well now around the outside. He's very tight in, but a little bit squiffy out of the exit there. Let's go and have a look at Chris Hitchin. He's making his way up a little bit. Oh no, he's lost two. Chris Hitchin down 2 places off the start, and Daryl Norkett is, I don't believe, has started, has he? By the looks of it. Well, he's just gotten underway now, I think. But Austin William Campbell here in the Ford, under pressure from the cars behind. David Contos in the Lamborghini and Damian Lobbic looking incredibly strong. We've also got Dave Lowerson in P13 in the Ferrari Evo GT3. We'll keep an eye on all of these guys. There's Cy Anthony now under pressure here from James Ackland, who he took at the start of the race. It did look a little bit like he might have jumped the gun off the start, but maybe not. There's no penalty as far as I can see at the moment. James Ackland not able to reclaim that place back from Cy Anthony. In the meantime, the BMW of Dom Roberts is absolutely storming away. He doesn't feel bothered by any of these guys behind him fighting away. He's just cruising off. Car number 44. Let's keep an eye on him for later in the race, but it might get a bit boring out front for Dom Roberts because the real action is happening behind with Cy Anthony and James Ackland. I'm seeing a few cars changing places. Josh Pratt's just dropped down the the order. He's getting absolutely swamped. That could be a slowdown for Josh Pratt maybe in the Ferrari. He's getting absolutely done here. He's got the BMWs going past him. He's got Porsches going past him, but he's on the inside here. Oh, we've got contact. We've got contact between BMW and Porsche there. Chris Hitchin gone off the circuit there, I think. Let's just have a little look at that replay. Was that Josh Pratt that we were just seeing there? Coming into that final corner, I think Hitchin got a bit deep on the brakes, didn't he? Bonked the front there. Oh yeah, and that sent him off into the gravel. I wonder if there was much damage to the back of I think Josh Pratt was hit in that, possibly. Oh, Acklam just made the move into turn 1 on Cy Anthony. That is incredible there. The BMW re-establishing position in P2. I don't think that's going to be it though. Cy Anthony will have the bit between his teeth. He wanted to get it done on the start, didn't he? And he absolutely did, but he wasn't able to hang on to it. We've got about 40 minutes of this racing. Obviously going to be, well, 42 minutes of this racing left, I think. So we've absolutely got time for more of this to happen. Let's get a replay of that turn 1 overtake from Acklam. He was absolutely at the back end of Cy Anthony's car there, dives down the inside, fantastic move, nice and tidy, and he's got him nicely blocked off on the exit there. Great stuff off the start of this race here. We've had a pretty clean time so far compared to the pros, where we had a bit of action obviously out of the exit of the Mercedes arena on that initial lap. Cy Anthony down to P3, and let's have a look at Will Goldborn in the Porsche. So he's up now into P7. I mean, that's one place he's up, and Stuart Bickley behind him is down 3 at the moment. So the real winners and losers so far: Josh Pratt in the Ferrari down 5 positions, Chris Hitchin down 2. We've also got Stuart Bickley and Dave Contos who have lost 3 places apiece each. The real winners here: Richard Simner up 3, Danny Gosling up 1, and then we've also got Austin William Campbell who's gained some positions in that Ford. So really good to see a lot of moving and shaking here. Oh, there's Austin, and it looked like he was just losing a bit of pace there on the exit. I think he just picked up the bit of grass. Car number 555. Very menacing livery on there, but Contos in the Lamborghini behind fancies his chances as well. A little bit later on the brakes there by the looks of it, into the chicane from Contos, and using all of the curbs compared to Austin, and I think he's going to have him here on the inside on the final corner. Is he brave enough for the dive? He is. He's going to tuck it in. Austin gives him all the room in the world, but that's going to compromise his exit. I'm sure the exit speed for that Ford not going to be as good as the Lambo there, but the BMW behind them of Damian Lobbic is absolutely chomping at the bit. He really wants to get round, doesn't he? Tucking in behind both of them. I think that's going to be Lobbic trying to go around the outside here on turn 1. Defensive manoeuvre here required from David Lawson. Wow, look at that. That was brilliant stuff there. All of these guys racing really hard. This is absolutely fantastic to watch. That was David Contos that was defending there. Sorry, not David Lawson. He's just behind these, keeping an eye on the fight, seeing where he might be able to get involved at some point. Now, Ben Cullen's behind him. Ben Cullen in the Porsche. We're just having a little look at this fight now. Ben, we've seen him in a lot of the series before here at iRacing UK. Good, strong driver. I've not seen him drive. I've not personally seen him driving the Porsche yet, but he's looking pretty strong here behind Dave Lawson, keeping him under pressure. And Dave, nice and tidy there in the Ferrari. He's hanging on to the back of the fight ahead of him with Lobbic and Contos. He's hoping that maybe there's going to be an opportunity for him to capitalise on any foolery that happens in this race. Into the hairpin we go for this next lap. This is brilliant stuff so far. Really loving what we're seeing. Josh, I mean, anybody that's really stood out to you so far?
Yeah, Richard Simnor and Danny Gosling, both great starts. Richard up 3 positions since straight after lap 1, so he had an absolute stormer of a start. So did Austin William in that great Ford livery. And you also have William Goldborn. He's up 1 position with that weaker Porsche sitting in P7, and he's my impressive driver so far. He just had hand surgery as well 2 weeks ago, and I believe he ripped out his stitches to be able to race tonight's race.
Car number 444 of Pratt has just managed to get up the inside of Gala there. That was brilliant into the chicane. That was really quite clinical, that manoeuvre. Looked quite clean from my perspective. And here comes Contos. He's looking up the back of Austin William Campbell in that Ford again. Really close behind him off the exit of the final corner there. And as we go now down into turn 1, will he be brave enough to try and do it under braking into turn 1? I think he's having a good look here, isn't he? Down deep on the brakes. He's going to be tight there on the entry, and they're going side by side, but it looks like he's managed to get it done. No, not quite. Side by side they go around the Mercedes arena. Absolutely car to car, like side by side stuff here. This is absolutely brilliant. And Austin defending for his life in that Ford, and it looks to me like he might just have the edge, but no, it's happened again. They're swapping places all over the place. It's David Contos that's now looking like he's just about ahead, but behind them Damian Lobbic really looking for his opportunity. He's blocked off completely. There's not enough room for three of them to go around there, and he's going to have to wait his turn in this fight as Austin has managed to make it happen. He's defended it ever so well there from the likes of David Contos behind him in that Lamborghini, but it is absolutely not over yet as we come now down into the hairpin. Lobbic really having a little look up the inside there. It doesn't look like they've got a great exit from Austin, I think. Oh, a bit of gravel picked up there. Oh, we've got Cullen just dropping down, I think, as well. Let's have a quick look at what happened here. Cullen's going around the outside. That's brilliant stuff from Ben Cullen in car number 16. Excellent work. The Porsche really showing what it's made of here in the right hands. That was excellent. He's got round Pratt and made it look very convincing in the process. Oh, Contos is off. Oh, he's off. He's just picked up all the gravel and grass in the world, and that's going to give Lobbic every chance to run it up the inside. It is. That's really compromised Lobbic there, and I think Lawson might fancy his chances, but a little bit too far back at the minute. Let's not forget those tyres are going to be a bit grassy now after that little excursion off the tarmac. But let's have a quick look at Danny Gosling, P6. He's lost a place by the looks of it. No, he was in P6 in the first place, wasn't he? I think Simner's possibly just taken that place off him. So Danny Gosling, unfortunate for him, he's now neutral on places. But into turn one we go. Will he be brave enough to try some kind of manoeuvre here? I don't think it's going to happen. Car number 49 having to concede that position now. And another BMW on BMW scrap that we get to witness. Damian Lobbic's going up the inside of turn one. And it looks like he's pushed him wide. But that was very, very clean between the two of them. He tucked him back behind Austin Campbell and decided, no, I'll try and have that fight another day, another lap further on in this race. So really great stuff. Close racing from the elites here this evening at the Nürburgring. It's a real train of cars that we've got here in the midfield with Lobbic, Williams, Contos, Lawson, Cullen all in the mix here, and Bickley ahead of them. Doesn't seem too worried at the minute, but I'm sure if Lobbic manages to get around Austin, there'll be every chance it will be on the charge to the back of Bickley's Ferrari. But brilliant, absolutely fantastic stuff so far. We should also just note that Acklam has now dropped down to 4th position after having overtaken Cy Anthony earlier on. Is now 3/10 behind Tennant, and we'll have to perhaps see if we can find a replay of that. Let's see what happened maybe to him earlier on. Tennant here got the move done. Just managed to get the move done up the inside here, isn't it? By the looks of it, into turn one again. Strange. Yeah, possibly a slowdown that we've seen there. It's not quite usual, but James Acklam anyway in P4 now. Still very close behind, 2/10 separating him and Tennant. I'm sure there'll be every chance for another fight. Ben Cullen though is getting involved in the action. He's now going up against David Lawson, round the outside of Lawson, and Lawson having to pick up all the curb in the world there, and Contos ahead also looking to try and make the move here on Lobbic. So it's all happening in the midfield here at the chicane, and it looks like Pratt has managed to get past Lawson and all of that chaos. So Lawson had a compromised entry into the chicane there, I think, and that is what has allowed Pratt to manage to take that position back. So that's Lawson down 1, Pratt down 3, and trying to make his way back up the order. Ben Cullen though up 3 places so far, the same as Austin William Campbell. Let's see what happened to Lawson. It looks like he was just, that was a bit opportunistic from car 444. I think Lawson he relied very much on the goodwill of Lawson to allow him through on that occasion. So Josh Pratt, well done. But let's see what Dave's got in store for him, because I'm sure he won't be willing to give up that easy. Wheels all over the back of Gosling at the minute, so P7 and P6 could get spicy here. The Porsche and the BMW going head to head. This is great stuff. Will Goldborn, as you said earlier, having hand surgery recently. It's going to be, I'm sure, quite uncomfortable to be racing at the kind of level that these guys are at the moment. I'm just seeing Lobbic drop down the order. I think we've had a crash from Lobbic. Let's go with a little replay of that. He's coming up to the back of Austin William Campbell here, very close in behind. What does he try and do? Oh, under braking. He's just hit the grass and then under braking. He's spun it around. That's awful luck there for the BMW of Damian Lobbic. That's going to drop him all the way back down the order, and he was so competitive this evening. That's a real shame now to see him down in P15. Back over to Goldborn we go with 4/10 between him and Gosling. This fight is sure to heat up very soon, but Gosling's also very close behind the likes of Richard Simner. Again, the gap very close in between those guys. So we'll have to keep an eye on what happens in this kind of top 5 battle that we've got going on here. 33 minutes left on the clock. I am absolutely sure that we'll have plenty more to see. Into the final corner now we go, but we're going to have to go over to Lawson. Lawson is really pushing hard behind the likes of Josh Pratt here in the Ferrari. They come into the last corner now, and they're still nose to tail here in the mid-pack. It's fantastic to watch these guys race. The likes, all these brands of cars that are incredibly closely matched here at the circuit on Nürburgring. And behind them, we've also got Harry Gaylor. Now, Gaylor down a few positions, I think. Oh, no, sorry, up 2. He's gained 2 so far in this, and I'm sure that's going to be off the back of the likes of Hitchin and Lobbic losing positions earlier in the race. I think we've just had another crash here, and that is Richard Simner. So the battle that we were talking about a minute ago, Richard is up a few places until now, and it looks like, he's just got a bit of a bump, has he, into turn 1 possibly. Breaking point car number 42 there. That was possibly just a bit unfortunate. I didn't quite see it right. Let's have a look from the rear of the car here. Very deep on the brakes here from 49, and Dink, just sends him round, doesn't he, I think there, Josh?
Yeah, it looks like he wanted to go deep. He was sending his car left, right there, trying to put pressure on him and have the other car outbrake himself, but he's done it himself and nudged him off the track there. Real shame. But it looked like there wasn't too much damage.
No, he didn't. I think I looked to me like his the back was pretty intact. In fact, to compare the two cars, I think actually the car of Danny Gosling behind had more kind of scrapes and scratches on the front end anyway. So, look at Bickley here trying to go around the outside of Gosling, who we were just talking about, and it looks like he's just had to drop back a little bit there after that manoeuvre. Not quite working out for Bickley on this occasion, but nonetheless looking quick. Now, Acklam is starting to get really involved with Mr. Tennant ahead of him, P3 and P4. These guys are running. Acklam obviously down 2 places from starting in second on the grid behind Roberts. Speaking of Roberts, he's about 4 seconds ahead at the minute, and I'm sure you won't be too worried about what's going on behind him. But now 2/10 separates Acklam and Tennant. Let's see if Acklam's ready to do a move down here into turn 1. They're very close behind him, and I think the gap is just going to be enough for him to try a brave braking manoeuvre. But no, he's actually let it go this time. Looks like Acklam tried a little look down the inside. Tennant gave him all the room in the world, but that has compromised Tennant's exit speed a little bit, allowing Acklam to keep in nice and close behind him. That move not quite working out this time, but I'm sure if he keeps the pressure on, he'll have another chance. More BMW on BMW action. That means that the 3 of the top 4 cars that we currently have are all of the BMW badge. In fact, actually, the top 6, half of them, more than half of them are BMWs. We're going to go over to Ben Cullen. That's Ben Cullen spinning. He's just had a bit of action there side by side. I think there might have been a tap involved for car number 16, and that has sent him around off the track. That's a shame for Ben Cullen after an incredibly strong race. He was alongside Josh Pratt. And let's see if they had contact here. They did. Front bumpers collided, and that was just enough to send Josh Pratt ahead and Cullen spinning. Wow, that was real side-by-side stuff. Love to see that.
Yeah, that's a real shame there. I mean, there wasn't much as well to send the car off like that. You'd be so annoyed at that.
Yeah, it was just a small dink, really, wasn't it? It wasn't not like it was a big shunt into a corner like we normally see, but we have seen at points this evening. But you normally kind of off the throttle and trying to just roll around that last section, and it didn't work on this occasion. Just not enough room on the circuit for both those egos on this occasion. Anyway, here's Acklam still chasing hard behind Tennant. The gap 3/10 at the moment, one of the closest battles that we've got, other than the Gosling and Goldborn scrap as well. So Acklam in 4th, trying to claw back some glory to get himself into P2. It was obviously a little bit of a shame at the start for him to be sprinted away from by Cy Anthony, but Cy Anthony not really pulling out much of a gap at the minute to the guys behind him. He can't really do anything about Roberts ahead, can he? But I think the more interesting action is happening back here between Gosling and Goldborn. So Goldborn's actually got ahead of Gosling in the time that we were speaking, I believe. And now that's him in 5th position, and he's having to fight for it, though, because Gosling really wants it back. Let's see if we can get the replay here of what happened. So looks like Goldborn...
it was from the spin.
Oh, it's the spin.
So when he tapped the car in front... Goldborn got by.
There's a pass there for Harry Gaylor, car number 43. That's him getting past, I believe, Dave Lowison, the Ghostbusters livery in white this time around. So a little bit different out there for Dave. James Acklam still really close in behind. He's do need 2.5 tenths, and look at the distance between the rear and front bumpers of these BMWs. Absolutely stunning stuff from cars number 12 and 23 here at the front of the order. It has been absolutely, so close between these guys with less than half an hour to go. There's got to be opportunities in here. Maybe in the pit stop, do you think one of these guys might go for an undercut, Josh?
Definitely, but I'd say the better opportunity here is try and work together here and get much closer to Cy Anthony and try and undercut him. I think that'd be more beneficial for the two of them.
Absolutely, every lap and every corner that they spend fighting amongst themselves is a lap, and it's time that is going to be lost to the likes of Cy Anthony. And if Acklam wants to get himself back into that top two, he's going to have to work for it. We've got some fantastic moves going on here between Gosling and Goldborn, though. Look at that. It was a lot of curb being picked up there by Gosling, and Bickley's going to try and get involved as well as we go into the final corner. Goldborn looks like he's got half a car length ahead of him, and he's got a whole car length ahead of him now as we go onto the exit, but I think he's not probably got quite the amount of speed that he would have wanted off the exit in the final corner there. Gosling staying on the pit wall side of the circuit, and Bickley now getting, I think he had a slowdown from the chicane, so he's had to give it up, and he's lost 2 places in the process of having that fight. That's a real shame for Gosling, but we've seen how he drives, and I'm sure he'll be back for more in a minute. With Bickley also going up a position there. Now, let's see what Stuart Bickley's going to be able to do, but we have to have a little look here at Ben Cullen again, because he's trying to get his way back through the order after that spin earlier on, and now that he's back in the flow a little bit, he's got Lobbic to contend with. So Damian Lobbic in the BMW, who we also saw have an incident earlier on. I wonder how soon Ben will be able to dispose of them in that Porsche.
If Ben spends a little less time typing in the chat at the same time he's driving, then he might be able to make a move. But he's very good at doing that. He can multitask pretty well, or like no one else I know.
Is he not trying a hey Alexa, send a Twitch message or some nonsense like that maybe? And I'm sorry if I've just set anybody's speaker off. I know that's a thing that can happen, but that's the reason I didn't say my own brand of speaker name in case it set it off.
No, he one hand types in the chat at the same time and races with the other hand. It's pretty impressive.
That's almost like the F duct when Fernando Alonso used to stick his hand over the hole, right? So he'd drive one-handed and cover the F duct hole. So, brilliant stuff. Well, here we go now. It's going to be Jack Acklam trying to go round and into the chicane they go, and he's not quite been able to do it now. Tennant still going to keep it ahead. 2 tenths separate them as they come into the final corner, and I'm sure there'll be a slipstream to be had from Acklam into turn 1. But let's have a little look at Pratt, because he's lost a space here to Gayler, who's made his way up to P11. That is now the highest positions claimed on the grid. That's +5 positions for Gayler. Let's have a little look at Tennant here. Round the outside goes Acklam. He's not going to be able to do it. I think that Tennant's got a decent exit, and he's got him. He's at the inside into the Mercedes arena. Acklam's really going for it, but he's not quite been able to do the speed on the exit's been compromised, and he's still tucking it in, having a little look, and no room there to be sneaking in because Tennant has tucked in that front bumper into the apex and not even remotely given James the chance of getting round. That is some fantastic driving that we're seeing there, absolutely side by side, and these BMWs really showing us how it's done at the front of the order. And he's going to try again. There's a bit of a tap there, possibly a wiggle from the back of Tennant's car. There was a bit of a wiggle there under braking, and that's going to lose him the place. But, or is it? No, I think he's given the place back. He's given it back there. Look, so that is that's some good sportsmanship there. But we'll keep an eye on this fight. Maybe we'll get a little replay of that moment in a minute. But that looked a little bit like the back end of Tennant's car getting really squiffy on the exit there, running wide, and then having to lose that place to Acklam, who gave it back. Let's just have a little look here.
I wonder if it was netcode.
Let's have a look here. Possibly.
Yeah, it was.
Definitely netcode. Yeah, a big bump there, but well, not really a big bump, a fake bump, but nonetheless, it's showing a bit of respect between drivers here, and Tennant getting that position back, and Acklam saying, "Here you go, we'll have another round."
But look at this, like within 2 laps, Cy Anthony's now put another 2 seconds on those 2 guys fighting. That's the big difference it can be from the 2 cars fighting and 1 car just hot lapping.
We need to interrupt you there because Stuart Bickley is looking around the outside of the chicane here on Will Goldborn. Will putting up a nice defence there. Lots of inside curb. I wonder if there's going to be any kind of slowdown possibly there. I think he might be okay as we go into the last corner. Simner also looking to get involved in the action here. He's very close in behind these guys. And let's have a look at what Bickley can do into turn one. I don't think the gap is going to be quite good enough here. Acklam is in the pit lane at the moment. So down into 8th goes Acklam. I'm sure he'll lose a couple more as he takes that stop, but he'll be looking to try and make the undercut now on 10 as we go down into turn one. All the drivers here in the mid pack are not really making any moves. I've just seen another bit of driver go in. That's to the pit lane. That's Pratt also in there, which means the likes of Lobbic and Cullen are moving up the order, but they obviously will have to take their pit stop also later in this race. Oh, look at how close Bickley and Richard Simner are there. The bumpers of those two Ferrari and BMW cars incredibly close, pretty much trading paint at this point, aren't they? Car number 24 having to defend for his life after only a moment ago being the one that was on the attack against the likes of Will Goldborn ahead in the Porsche.
Yeah, we will be praying to all the gods these two guys start fighting heavily to let him drive away. I don't think he likes the Ferrari sitting behind him with that great straight line speed. Hopefully they can keep it clean here, because I think there might be a move coming into the chicane.
I think you might be right, because it's been seen once or a number of times already this evening into the chicane. Lots of people trying to do that manoeuvre. And look at Bickley now really trying hard to get around Goldborn. He's really close behind him. It looks to me like Bickley might have his strengths in the second half of the circuit possibly, and that is what has been allowing him to line up these sorts of moves. As you say, the Ferrari, the great straight line speed, well, we're going to see it go into effect here as we head down in towards the chicane. Looks like Goldborn's going to go to defend the inside line, and that's going to force Bickley to have a look around the outside. He's deeper on the brakes, side by side into the chicane, and Bickley's the one that's going to come off on top. But no, there's another car behind of Simner, and he's giving him a bit of a bump. But who else is going to get in this? And it's Danny Gosling. He's going to push himself into 6th place now, and he's trying to go around the outside of Bickley here. I think there's going to be a move here into turn one. Bickley's going to have to be brave on the brakes to try and maintain that position. It looks like he's lost a bit of straight line speed there, and that's going to allow Gosling to get really alongside him. But that is the inside line there for Stuart Bickley, who's moved across. He's dived across. Gosling has dived across, and here comes Simner down the middle, 3 wide. The brakes on the Beamer really coming into effect there. As we head into the Mercedes arena, Bickley goes from battling for that place with Will Goldborn for 4th, and now he's all the way back down in 7th. That's going to be disappointing, but these Beamers really showing us how it's done. And look at that, Simner now pushing. We've had a contact, more netcode possibly. That's Simner off the circuit. That's going to be contact there for Danny Gosling, and Bickley now makes his way back up another position into 6th. Wow, that might be another bit of netcode. Look at the front of that BMW now, pretty scraped up, isn't he? A car number 49 has been in the wars a bit now, and we'll have to have a little look at the replay of that, because that to me looked again like it could have been netcode. What do you reckon?
Look here, we'll find out. It did not look fun.
Oh no, he did hit him, I think, that time possibly. That wasn't so. I mean, they were going. I mean, it was obviously very charged up there, wasn't it? A lot of adrenaline and flow. These guys are doing everything they can to stay out of each other's way, but it was incredibly close into turn one with 3 wide pretty much, with the brakes of those BMWs sending it in super late, and Bickley the one that came off worse out of that little altercation. But Will Goldborn is the one that got lucky there. He was cruising away ahead, letting all that fighting go on behind him, and that means that he's now got a little bit more of a gap to him and Gosling behind. 1.2 that gap sits at, which means that I should think Will Goldborn's quite pleased with that performance, because that puts him now up 4 positions, having started back down in 8th. So great stuff from Will Goldborn, and as you said, with that gammy hand of his, I'm sure he's quite pleased with that. So let's have a look over at Gala, another person who has really had quite a good result today so far, with 6 places gained for Harry here in the BMW. As we head down the pit straight, I wonder if we'll be able to see him move up any further into that top 10. Only 7/10 between him and Simner. Now, Simner ahead is actually his teammate, very similar liveries you've got there, but I wonder if Gale is any quicker. Will we have team orders and maybe a little bit of shuffling in the order here in the top 10? Now, Roberts at the front still, now growing his gap to 5.7. He really hasn't been at all worried about what's been going on around him. He's gone out for a nice cruise, putting in the laps in the 155s more recently. In fact, I don't think he's put it into the 154 yet in this race. Obviously a heavier car with the fuel load, but he's not really feeling the pressure, and as such, he's just been able to cruise along through this race. Now we probably need to go back to having a little look at Simner and Gala, because I think that gap might be coming down even more now. 4 tenths between them, whereas it was about 5, I think, before. Gala looking like he's on a bit of a charge this evening. A really strong race from Gala. I wonder how long it's going to be before we see him getting round. Another one to mention would be Gosling. So Gosling, who we saw claiming a few places out of that little scrap that we saw earlier, he's now 3 tenths off the back of Goldborn. And obviously we were saying a minute ago that Goldborn should have been quite pleased with the fact that obviously there was a scrap going on behind him. But it's not really taken Gosling very long at all to capitalise on the extra pace that he's got in that BMW. And he's really catching up to Will.
Yeah, I think Will's made a mistake here in this last lap, because his previous lap time was faster. So I think he maybe had a small little mistake on.
Gosling's going to go for the undercut by the looks of it. He knows that he's got the pace, so he's going to go and put the car in the pits now, fill up on fuel, and we'll see what happens. Let's see what Will's lap time is like, because if Will puts in a stunning lap, it might just be that he's done enough maybe to defend 157 this time around. So again, quite slow. I can't see any damage on that Porsche at the moment, but we'll see. We'll see what happens to Will as the race progresses. It looks like he's going steady at the minute. We've also got so we've still got Gosling. Hitchens obviously out the race at the moment. We haven't had anybody else drop into the pits just yet. Gala currently sticking to the back of Richard Simler, 42 and 43, separated by 3 tenths of a second. So they're actually catching up. Austin ahead. So maybe a bit of teamwork does need to come into play here from the BMWs. A bit of damage to the back by the looks of it of I think Gala's car. It looked like it might be a bit of a bump that he's had, but yeah, it could be that just sharing the draft here a little bit, maybe a sensible overtake at some point. Oh, he's gotten really close there to the back of to Simner. I wonder if there will be any orders here. What do you think? Would you let someone through if it looked like it was the right thing to do?
Yeah, I mean, when you're teammates, you usually don't race, not unless it's the last couple of laps, then it's kind of free to go, clean racing. But here, before the pit stop and everything, I don't think they should be racing. I imagine one of them is just happy to sit behind their fuel save and try and get the undercut on the drivers in front of them.
Well, interestingly, look, I mean, if you look at the back of Harry's car here, in that camera angle there, it looks like he's had a bit of a crunch, doesn't it, at the back? So I wonder how much pace he's actually losing at the moment, even though he's been very quick throughout this race, hasn't he? You know, so if he's had a big crunch there, I do wonder how much that's compromising him, and if it wasn't that situation, would he already be past Richard at this point? Possibly. We'll have to see as the pit stops unfold. He will get a fast repair. We've got 15 minutes to go now, so it can't be long before here we go. See him dive in now. This will be really interesting, because as Harry comes out the pits, we'll really be looking out to see if he's managed to get it ahead of Richard. Let's go and have a little look at Danny Gosling we're going over to, because he's come out of the pits, and now it's time for him to see if he can make his way up. Oh, we've got some more dropping in there as well. So we've got Gala in there, we've also got Lawson, and we've also got Damian Lobbic, car number 5, that has gone into the pits. So that's lots of BMWs, and we've got a Ferrari. Well, I think we've got 3 BMWs that have gone in and 1 Ferrari now. So maybe that just shows what the difference in the fuel tanks. But Acklam's obviously been in as well, P11 at the minute for Acklam, and let's have a little look at what's going on here for him. He's going to try and make his way back up the order. He's going to get past Daryl Norkett, who is a quick driver. We know what Daryl's up to. He's up 7 places so far this evening, is Daryl. Obviously a pit stop to come for him yet, but the BMW is really going hard at it here, and Acklam, who's currently down 9 after pit stops, needs to try and make his way past Norkett if he can.
Yeah, Norkett had a pretty good race so far, considering he had to pit start for a penalty he received from an incident in the previous race, which is why he was timed from the pits today.
Well, that's how the story unfolds then. So the likes of Norkett really pushing hard today, but Acklam is the one that wants to push him even harder, and that's made Norkett go a little bit wide there. And James has got the move done. That puts him up to P10, and now his next target's going to be Cullen. But I expect that Ben Cullen's probably got a pit stop imminent soon. Car number 16. We've seen him have a bit of a traumatic experience earlier on in the race with a bit of a bump. I don't think we've got too much damage on that Porsche from that earlier incident. But he will have to go in at some point anyway, and I'm sure he gets the fast repair sorted at that point. P1, 2, and 3 all gone in the pits now, and 4 and 5 and 6 also going, and 7. Oh, this is going to get old in a minute, isn't it? So everybody diving into the pits. It's obviously the golden hour to get that motion lotion filled up in the tank before you go out for the last 13 minutes of this race around Nürburgring. And what a race it's been so far, with James Acklam now coming around the final corner and into the pit straight. So Ben Cullen's also dived into the pits, as we suggested. Richard Simner, we've got a lot of them in there. And let's have a look at who's coming out. So Cy Anthony's got out okay, as has Tennant. So Tennant managing to keep it nice and close in behind, but Acklam not being able to do anything about it. A second and a half by the looks of it. And Will Goldborn has come out in 5th position there.
Let's see if Gosling is ahead or not. Oh,
7/10 in it. I think Gosling could have just about done it if he'd had a slightly better lap, but well done to Will Goldborn there. Great performance from Will, getting it out just in the nick of time, and our teammates are coming very close together in the back of that car for Harry Gaylor, not looking like it's any more better than it was before. So again, he's stuck behind his teammate, and I wonder how annoying that's going to be for him. They came incredibly close there, and I don't think we want to see them coming together, do we? So everybody's pitted now, so no more chances for undercuts, overcuts, or any of that sort of action. It's now 12 minutes of pure racing action to the end to see who can make it up the order and solidify their place. Let's go over to Danny Gosling here. A little replay here. He's gone off, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, he touched the grass there on the entry to that corner, and he lost it. Rear right tyre touched the grass. Oh, that real sucks.
Oh, no. And then bumped the barriers as well. That's a shame. That's it did seem a bit haphazard to be trying to sort of like Tokyo reverse drift it, around the grass there. But nonetheless, he's back out on track now. But that's a shame for him. Goldborn, the only person he's got to contend with behind him now is Bickley, who's 4 seconds back. But we won't. I don't think we'll be too worried about that for the moment. If anything, the battle we need to have a little look at is the likes of Gaylor and Simner. So that fight's still very much underway. The teammates very close to the back now of car number 444 in 9th position. That's Josh Pratt in the Ferrari. So we've seen Josh pull some really great moves this evening on the likes of Lawson earlier on. Lawson now out this race. By the looks of it, P16 he's down in. I don't know what happened to Dave there that's seen him out, but maybe we'll find out in a moment. Gaylor still very close to the back of his teammate in P10 there. Cars 42 and 43 going over the line now for the run down into turn 1. It doesn't look like they're close enough to Pratt at the moment for any kind of manoeuvre, but we do know the BMWs are incredibly strong here on the brakes. We've seen it before, and that gap now coming right down between Simner and Pratt. That's half a second. Here's the replay now of Joshua Pratt. I think Lawson might have parked it, so that sounds like what might have happened. It looks like his last action was him being overtaken in the pit lane, possibly. So I think Lawson, maybe having had a bit of a turbulent middle section of the race, has perhaps packed it in for now, but maybe we'll catch up with him another time. Gaylor now 7/10 back from Simner, who's 6/10 back from Pratt. The next nearest fight that we've really got in the order at the minute is for P3 and 4. That's between Tennant and Acklam, but we'll stick with Simner and Gaylor for the moment. The BMWs giving each other a bit of a run for their money, but I think the person that's going to be worried the most here is going to be Josh Pratt, because in P9 with that Ferrari, he's really just going to be staring at his mirrors for the next 10 minutes, and when there's only a small portion of the race left, you really don't want to leave it down to any errors at all. You need to really want to stretch it out. And as you said, really that Ferrari should have a bit of extra straight line speed, right, Josh?
Yeah, it doesn't look too right. But then again, the BMW here is just so strong. But I'm not too sure which has got the fastest straight line speed here, but it does look slightly compromised.
Yeah, compared to the Beamers here, it doesn't really seem to be to stretching away at all. But nonetheless, I think we've possibly got a bit of that damage on Harry's car does appear to be costing me a bit now. The extra fuel load put in after that pit stop has now seen him drop back a little bit further, and here goes Simner on the inside of Pratt into the final corner, and he's got the move done. That's brilliant, but I think that Pratt's close enough to chase him down here for a dive into turn 1 as they now go really close behind each other in a line by the pit wall. What's he going to do here? Pratt dives out to the outside. I don't think that's going to be the one though, because Simner's got the stronger inside line here. here, and deep on the brakes they go side by side into turn 1, and Simner staying ahead for the moment by the looks of it. But oh no, into the arena. Pratt's still got the inside line here. He's got about half a car length distance, and I think he might just have to drop back there yet, as and round the outside also is going to go Gala around Pratt there, and he's going to tuck it up the inside for the next section, and that looks like an absolutely solid move there from Harry Gala. The two BMWs fighting very hard there with the Ferrari of Pratt, and it's not over yet though, because Pratt's got the inside line. They're still going to go side by side, but it looks to me like Harry there has got the confidence, and there you go, on the inside, gets it ahead of the Ferrari. Brilliant driving from the guys here in the midfield, and that's put Simner up to 9th and Gala up to 10th. Pratt having to drop back there, but only a 10th separates him. We'll see if he's able to do anything in the slipstream here, car number 444. I'm sure he's got a bit left in the tank, as we've still got 8 minutes of racing to go, and it's all very much to play for. Now, Tennant's 4 tenths ahead of Acklam up at the front now. That's going to be the next closest fight that we're going to be able to watch. But oh, look at Pratt though. Pratt's still 2 tenths now. He's really closing in behind that BMW. He's actually that slipstream effect really making the difference for Pratt. So let's we'll have to see. Maybe that speed difference is counted for something, Josh, as we were mentioning earlier. The straight line speed maybe is a factor, but look here, he's dropped back just a little bit more, 5 tenths now, coming down to 4, but I think into the chicane he's way too far back. He can get on the brakes deep, but I don't think that's going to be enough, and the BMW looking like it had the better exit off of the chicane. Okay, we're going to go over to a replay of Cullen here. Oh no, we're not. We're going to have a look at Josh Pratt again here. That will try Cullen. Here he is, all on his own, car number 16, cruising along. And what happens to the Porsche of Ben Cullen? On the brakes, and he's picked up the inside, spun it round. Oh yeah, really unsettled the car, hasn't it? There on the inside, and he's not made a nuisance of himself for his fellow drivers on the re-entry. Shame for Ben Cullen. That's 2 incidents we've seen from him now, and otherwise it had been quite a strong race for him, but down to P14 for car 16. James Acklam's only a 10th away from Tennant now. This battle's been heating up, and as we come into the final stages of this race, I'm sure Acklam will be really wanting to make his way back up into the podium spots here. The top 3 is absolutely within reach for him, and he's really showing his mettle here. As the fuel starts to burn off and we enter the last 6 minutes of the race, I wonder how much longer Tennant is going to be able to hang on to this. 2 tenths in it. It's so close between these guys, and it really just shows how closely matched they are in the field here. The post pretty much pushing him around there at the minute. I think that was damn close. And again, dropping back a little bit to 3 tenths. Will Goldborn is the only person that might be able to take advantage of this if these two come together, but he's about 15 seconds back in the pack at the minute. Speaking of people that are well out of the way, Dom Roberts 10 seconds ahead of Cy Anthony at the minute as he goes over the start-finish straight, but obviously not really not pushing too hard. 155.9 on his last lap, and Cy Anthony behind him, running currently 9 seconds behind. The fight behind though is really heating up. We're going to see a move into turn 1 surely here, Josh. This has got to be the one. I mean, look at how close to match these guys are, and as we go down under braking, it could be done, but I think no, with still 5 minutes to go, Acklam doesn't want to throw it all away, and Tennant maintaining that P3 for the moment.
These guys are evenly matched. I can see that going right down to the wire. Those two guys racing, Acklam might want to set it up perfectly for a last lap overtake and then leave nothing to chance of getting re-overtaken on the next slip opportunity.
I'm going to have to interrupt you for a minute because Josh Pratt is looking to try and take that place back off of Harry Gala. He's going around the outside and it looks like he's almost got the job done. There's compromised speed on the exit there, and I don't think that he's been able to hold on to it, but on the inside he's still just managed to keep the front end tucked in, I think, on the Mercedes Stadium there section, and unfortunately just not quite got the edge on Gala ahead. He had to back out of that one though. That was incredibly close behind. But speaking of close behind, Gosling, who we saw earlier come off the circuit after he was fighting it out with Will Goldborn, he's now getting onto the back of this fight, and now 3 tenths separate him from Pratt rather than Pratt and Gala. So this is what we tend to see happen quite frequently here in the mid-pack. We'll see these incredibly close battles that then end up being not the first two but the second two drivers after they've gotten a little bit too close together. But let's have a look at Acklam again. 2 tenths separate him and Tennant really having to defend hard into the final section of this race, and it looks like the car has absolutely come alive for Acklam in the last 10 minutes because he's absolutely squeezed the gap down now. 1/10 separates them. What's going to happen here? He's going to have a little look around the outside, deep on the brakes of the chicane. No, just going to try and set it up nicely here so that he's got the best exit possible into the final corner, and then hopefully for him that'll be a move into turn 1. Well, let's keep an eye on this as they go for the run. Car number 23 absolutely dying to get past Tennant ahead of him in car 12. BMW on BMW action, so it's literally down to skill and setup here, and will he be brave enough to do it? I don't think he's got the gap, has he? He's just not quite closed in enough. Oh, there's contact. He's gone too deep, and he's going to have to let him back past, surely. That's a bit of a naughty maneuver there.
I wonder if that was another netcode there, though. I didn't see the angle quite closely, so I didn't see the actual impact, but it looked like Acklam got out to the left and wasn't actually behind him anymore, but then I heard the sound.
Donk, there you go. A little replay there for you of the BMWs coming together. Let's see if we can get more, maybe a TV view here. Oh, actually, this is the rear view. Oh, very deep. And yeah, I don't think netcode on this occasion. That was just an incredibly late braking maneuver, and it didn't quite work out.
Yeah.
So Acklam still behind. A little bit of a dent there on the front corner. Actually, you can start to see that now on Acklam's car. So hopefully that's not compromising him too much. Only 2/10 still, so the gap remaining very similar to what it was before. I wonder if he'll be able to do something into the last couple of laps, because we only have a couple more lined up for you now, and that means that we've only got a couple of laps for Acklam to make it happen. Another battle that's happening further down the field is also Gosling in P12, getting really close up behind Pratt now. 4/10 in it between those guys. I'm sure that there's going to be another set of moves in the last 2 minutes that we're going to get to witness here at Nürburgring. It has been a race to remember so far, not only in the pros but also the elites. Great stuff from all the drivers across the grid. The BMW is really looking to reign supreme here, really bullying their way around the course here at Nürburgring. Speaking of BMWs, here's Dom Roberts, car number 44 at the front of the order. 10 seconds separate him and Cy Anthony behind in the Ferrari at the moment, and it really to me just looks like Dom is on a nice casual Sunday cruise at the minute, just taking it easy. He's got nobody around him to worry about, and 2 laps left to maintain that rhythm. James Acklam, though, looking again for that turn 1 maneuver. Let's hope that he's not too close this time, and he's going to really squeeze that gap down, but not quite enough to get it done on Tennant. He has only got another lap after this to make the magic happen, and at this stage it's not looking convincing because Tennant just seems to have the defensive edge compared to Acklam, albeit Acklam's not stopping, is he? He's not getting tired of fighting here. He's like a dog with a bone.
Yeah, definitely. He's really struggling to get out really good momentum at that last corner to like be so close on him for the slip to make the difference there. Into the chicane's a hard one to overtake because Tennant is just defendingly perfect. He's taking the inside, pushing him over, and there's nothing Acklam can do at the moment. He's struggling to get past. It's great racing from both.
Well, as we come down to the chicane though, they were looking a little bit dicey there. A little look round for Acklam. He was really weaving around the back of Tennant there, looking for the opportunity, but it hasn't happened here. But with the long run now up the straight, we might be able to see a little bit of that gap closing down. It's 3/10 at the moment, and we could see it go down under 2/10 possibly. I think it's going to happen. No, James Acklam still really close in behind. He's giving it absolutely everything, and Tennant using a lot more of the track there and the curbs on the exit compared to the likes of Acklam. So only a 10th in it now as they come down to the chicane. Is he going to be able to defend it again? I think he is. Look at Tennant. He's really pushing hard there. Here comes Dom Roberts. He's slowing down a little bit, coming to the line now. 3 seconds remaining. I think he's going to get, this is one more lap then we're going to see now in the GT3s. Let's go Acklam now into the final corner. I think he's a little bit closer than he has been on the last laps, but the gap still doesn't look like quite enough for me to get him the move done into turn 1, which means he's going to have to do it on the last lap at some point. This is going to get really dicey. Now only 2/10 of a second separate these guys. He's going to go to the outside for a look. He's going to line it up side by side, really putting the pressure on a Tennant there, seeing if he can force an error, and he's not been able to. He dives out wide for opening up that next corner into the Mercedes Stadium section. And let's have a look at what's happening in the mid-pack, because we've got cars really close back here with the likes of Williams and Simner here, 555 and 42. The Ford under pressure from the BMW into turn one. That gap really close down now, and Danny Gosling is not quite on the tail of Josh Pratt as he has been throughout the earlier sections of this race. Let's go back to James Acklam though, because look at the gap. It's so minute now between these guys. We've seen them go to the corners, and it almost looks to me like they're pushing each other around at points. 1/10 of a second or 1/10.5 of a second, and he's really keen to get it done. He's looking all over the place, trying to put the absolute panic into Tennant around this circuit tonight at the Nürburgring. Possibly the best BMW action I've seen so far in iRacing UK. This is absolutely great stuff between Tennant and Acklam. There's got to be an opportunity. We're coming into the final section of the circuit now. Only a couple more corners to make it happen, Acklam. Could it be another chicane manoeuvre? Let's see. But we do know that Tennant is great at setting the car up in a way that makes it really challenging to force another BMW around the side of it. This has got to be it, hasn't it? Look how close he is. Round the outside, he's going to have to go. Tennant's to the inside. This is so close as we come down into the chicane. Half a car length separating them. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Looks like Acklam. They're side by side. Bit of the bump there, and Acklam's not managed to get it done. And I think that's Tennant. That's it. He's given a bit of a flash to say, nice go, nice try, but into the final corner they go, and Dom Roberts wins the race. Cy Anthony comes in behind him, and the likes of Tennant and Acklam come in P3 and 4 after a fantastic BMW battle into the final section of the race.
That's just brilliant by Tennant. That's just brilliant defending. He's just placing his car perfectly. You know, there was no panic driving or anything like that. It was just smooth the entire time. It's just placing it perfectly, exactly where he needed it. It just made that car feel extra wide. Brilliant defending, brilliant racing by both of them to keep it clean and exciting.
So now we've got all of the guys coming over the grid now, and this is brilliant stuff to see. All the checkered flags are only 2 racers out of this in the form of Lawson and Hitchin this evening. So we lost Lawson 8 laps ago and Hitchin 14 laps ago. And now we're just waiting for Damian Lobbic, who also had a bit of an incident earlier on in this race, to come into the final section. Give him a round of applause, Mr. Lobbic, sticking with it. Here we go now through the chicane one more time as we round out the lap. And a great race from all here this evening. Will Goldborn, a great racing car, number 64, up a few places. And the likes of Jack Acklam and Tennant have really performed and given us the entertainment we deserved here on our Sunday evening. So that was great stuff. Really enjoyed that racing. It's been a fantastic Sunday night here at the Nürburgring for the GT3 Pro and Elite Series this evening. So if you are interested in getting involved, obviously IR_UK_team on Twitter or /iRacing UK on Facebook. Your race results for the Elites this evening on screen for you now. So Dom Roberts brings it in P1. He's followed by Cy Anthony. Tom Tennant comes in 3rd, and then James Acklam in 4th. Will Goldborn in 5th. And then we've got Stuart Bickley, David Contos, Austin Williams, Richard Simner and Harry Gaylor ran out the top 10. Then following on from them, we've got Josh Pratt, Danny Gosling, Daryl Norcutt, Ben Cullen, Damian Lobbic, David Lawson and Chris Hitchin. In a minute, we'll get the running order for you for the next races and the schedule that's going to be coming up. Dom Roberts is going to be coming in for interview in a moment to speak to us. But before we speak to Dom Roberts, let's just remind you a little bit about what's going to be coming up in the next few days. So Tuesday night, we have a Donington the Formula 3 race. It's going to be fantastic action from the open wheelers, just as it always has been. Make sure to tune in with us on the iRacing UK Twitch and Total SimSport YouTube channels, respectively. Now, again, season 5 of the GT3s is going to be coming up very soon. Make sure you head over to the channel in the UK Discord, the iRacing UK Discord. You can go to the GT3 season 5 channel to register your interest, or you can go to the link in the description of the video below, where you'll find www.totalsimsport.tv/GT3. You could be in one of these broadcasts racing with the likes of Dom Roberts, Cy Anthony and James Acklam. Great racing from all of them. I'm sure that you'd want to be involved if you could. Now, we're going to be going over to the interview in a minute. We've got the Dom Roberts just in the waiting room for us. We're going to have a little look at some replay action as well on the screen, just in the background. The other thing that we've got for you coming up this week on Wednesday is going to be the iRacing Race for Katie. So the Race for Katie is going to be a charity event held on Wednesday at 9 p.m. You can watch it all live here on the broadcast as usual. £10,200 plus now been raised for charity. It's a great cause, and we really want to make sure that we get as many eyes on it as possible, hence bringing it to your screens on Wednesday evening. So it's been a fantastic Sunday night, and I really, really hope that you've enjoyed it with us so far. There's going to be some more racing coming up for you next week with the form of the AMS here at Nürburgring as well. So make sure you tune in with us again next week back here on iRacing UK and Total SimSport broadcast. Now, we really do need to give you a bit of a word with Dom Roberts now. So we're going to bring him in to the commentary booth with us as we watch him on the replay on your screens at the minute. Now, Dom, welcome to the commentary booth, and congratulations on the race tonight. It's been a real commanding victory from yourself this evening. How are you feeling about the rest of the season, and was tonight just a walk in the park for you?
Nah, no race is ever a walk in the park. There's always risks, but felt really good after that one because I had really good race pace, was able to pull away. It looked
to me like you were kind of quite comfortable in the 155s for a number of the laps. We were watching you at various points, sort of seeing some fairly chilled times, but the gap's still growing to the likes of Cy Anthony behind. Was there any point in the race where you thought that maybe there was any kind of peril for you?
Early on, my pace wasn't looking the strongest, and they were catching me. But then, as soon as I don't know what it was, the tyres just came on. Then I found a ton of pace and was just able to pull away.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Dom, we've really enjoyed watching. I mean, the BMW really seemed to be the cream of the crop this evening, with two of them obviously coming in strongly in the pro race this evening, but then also two in the top three again this evening. What is it about the BMW that's kind of made it your car of choice for the season so far, and what makes it good round here at the Nürburgring?
I just think it's a really strong car in general with the BOP, but around here, just the way it's able to take the curbs and the chicane, that just seems to gain most of the time.
Brilliant stuff. Well, it's really great to hear from you here in the commentary booth with us. Thanks very much for joining us this evening for a little post-race interview. I'm sure you'll be looking forward to the next race. What goes through your head when you prepare for the next race?
Just get practicing, put a few laps in, see where my pace is at, and try and improve the setup.
Dom, once again, thanks very much for joining us this evening, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you want the real lowdown on what's going on in the iRacing UK community, you need to head over to the link in the video description below, where you'll find the Inside iRacing UK podcast. It's the only podcast that you need for all your iRacing UK news. And in the upcoming episode 3, which has actually already been released, you'll get to hear from Team Fordzilla's Jack Ashton. He's a coach over at Driver 61, and he competes in the UK Hot Hatch Championship. So be sure to tune in to episode 3 and listen to Mark Jennings and Calvin Dent talk to him. But they don't also talk to him. They don't just talk to him. They also talk to our very own Sean Cranleigh-Swash from Total SimSports about the GT3 Season 4 so far, and what has been obviously happening through the first 3 rounds. The 4th round has been an absolute spectacle to behold, and we've very much enjoyed it. We'll bring you the schedule up on the screen hopefully in a minute, just to give you an idea of what else you can expect. Now, what else can you expect though is another whole season available to you, and we'll give you the sign-up link for the Season 5 in the description down below. Or you can head over to the iRacing UK Discord and go to the channel to register your interest. Now, thank you very much for joining us this evening. In terms of following us, you want to head over to facebook.com/iRacing UK, or you can hit them up at IRUK_team on Twitter and Instagram. If you're interested in following us here at Total SimSport, you can get us at /Total SimSport for both Twitter and twitch.tv. You can also find us on YouTube and at www.totalsimsport.tv. Now, very, very big thank you to all of our drivers and viewers this evening. If you've hit that subscribe or follow button on any of the channels that we've been bringing this broadcast to you on, thank you very much, obviously, for doing that. And a very big thank you to Sean behind the scenes for bringing us all the action this evening on the screens. And Josh, it's been fantastic to have you here with me. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
From me and Josh and Sean here in the commentary booth, we wish you a happy Sunday evening and a good night. Thanks for joining us here on Total SimSport and iRacing UK.